2-in-1 show, and it was going to be epic.
How long are we going for?
I don't think it'll be too long. Couple of hours.
Hell yeah.
We're on anyway. Oh no. Anyway, hello.
Hello.
Just let it all kick in. All right, Governor.
Oh shit. My sound's on.
Yeah, YouTube's on, Kick's on. Cool.
Yeah.
Joe's going to introduce everyone while I make a gin. Everyone.
Yeah,
Pricks.
We've got loads and loads of guests today. No, we've got myself, the most important one here. I'm putting myself on a platform. And we also have, if you guys are interested, Scottejaye, the host of the channel, but not the host of the show. And then returning guest, the man, the myth, the legend, the warlock god, Crix. Welcome back, man.
Welcome, boys. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Any diggers?
Yes, sir.
Anybody digging?
Man's digging. Always nice to have you back, Crix.
You guys know that everybody likes digging. It's everybody's favorite thing to do, you know?
I don't know about everyone liking it.
I'm at about 500 total right now, so I haven't been completely no-lifing it like Scotty has. So I've been doing it every now and then. And
yeah. At what point do you just give up?
I was gonna cut myself off. I made a benchmark. I was like 100 dwarf solves, and that's it. And I'm at like 130 now. So like I kept going.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep to that promise to myself.
Yeah.
I'm on.
At least it's kind of brain dead content though. That's the one good thing about it is you just auto fly in one direction and play anime or whatever you choose to watch at the same time and just go about your life. It could be worse.
It's great.
Imagine
not streaming.
having to press buttons.
Yeah, like exactly. not streaming and doing it so you can sit and just watch TV series and shit is I mean it is fairly brainless. But I've done it.
It was one of those things where you had to go like fight a bunch of mobs and then or have to have a group to do it. Oh man, imagine that. Or imagine if you couldn't fly around like they said you weren't supposed to be able to. I can't imagine doing this on foot.
Oh man, yeah. Can you imagine they didn't? So they didn't put flying in, but they did put the epics in. Like, I mean, this would have been incredibly painful. Anyway, go. Let's see us into the podcasting style. You've got this.
I don't know if I've got this. I've had all day to prep, and I've done a little bit of prepping, but we've got a lot of news to talk about. We had a nice blue post yesterday with a lot of information. Some of it was maybe not as factual as we would think upon first read, so we'll get into that. We had a couple interviews. 2 of the 3 interviews are here tonight. The third one was from Eben Hart, I think is how it's pronounced. Mm-hmm. So we can talk a little bit about what was found from those interviews as well, because last show we meant to do that, but it got interrupted, so we didn't really get to cover all of that information. So all the pre-launch info is going into the show. And then we've also got to dig into a little bit, to the Warlock class. We've been trying to cover as many classes as we can before launch. We got to maybe half of them at this point after tonight. So we did the best we could. And I'm looking forward to figure out the ins and outs of Warlock.
You got the important classes done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, to be fair, the raid's not launching right away. So, I mean, you could sneak some more in there for 10 days. But it's 10 days, right?
Yeah. We need a warrior. We need a priest. What else did we need? A hunter. There might be one other class.
Well, we didn't do shadow, but we did cover priest, like healer, didn't we? We covered priest, healer, paladin. Like we covered the healers. So, yeah, we've done most of them. Yeah, cool.
And then after about 45 minutes to an hour, we'll be out of here, and it'll be a good night.
I really hope so, because I got digging to do. So yeah, if we can get out of here pretty quick, that'd be great. Are we done yet?
No, but how many people watch the podcast? Why they're digging? Probably a lot of people.
Whilst we're doing the podcast, while we're digging,
yeah.
We're all in it together. That's the thing, and that was like.
Imagine if one of us gets the staff right now mid-show, we'd freak the shit out, right? We'd start screaming randomly.
I was praying that was going to be the case, because I was just about to say, obviously, I've just got off Warcraft Reloaded, so I've done like back-to-back podcasts, and I was digging all the way through that, and like, you know, every troll solve I done, I was like, this is the one. This is gonna be really exciting if I get it done. And no, I think I'm set up for disappointment, unfortunately. Right, all right. So let's we'll catch up with Crix for a minute anyway. Like, what have you been up to, Crix? What, like in Stod, in Cata, on whatever, just anything in general?
Before we get into that,
all right. Before we get into that, we'll give him a minute.
One of the news segments, and since we're on the topic of digging, is the Pterodax is now available at 450, and I just got that before we went live. So I've got my pet. It's really small. I was kind of excited.
Are we still talking about the pet? Oh.
Yeah. The pet.
Yeah.
The pet is so small. Like, I summoned it, and I was like, "Where is it at?" And I need to get that food to make it bigger and have it flying next to me as I'm continuing to solve stuff. But that was kind of cool. You know, it feels good to have like another reward that I can get to make it feel like I'm doing something other than wasting my time looking for the staff.
You need the old pet Viagra. Is that what you need? Is it?
Exactly. Yeah. I need the blue pill for the pet.
Right. Yeah, it's all right, mate. Yeah. So go on. What have you been up to, Crix, in general? And then go. You can do the housekeeping, which we just haven't done. But...
I re-rolled. I joined Progress on EU, so I re-rolled from being NA since Classic to EU like 3 weeks ago, which doesn't bug me. Besides, I have no transmogs. I had lost everything. Right. I'll probably never play the NA accounts again. Other than that, I've just been getting ready for prep, like last minute prep, kind of the same thing everyone else is doing, just driving around. I didn't do pre-questing. It doesn't feel worth it to me. I know it probably is to some people, but just doing some dungeon cleave practice, stuff like that. A lot of the raid testing with the boys. Just that's about it. SOD, obviously SOD, big into SOD and big into Cata, so kind of bouncing back. People are complaining about the 7-day lockout for SOD, but I love it because like you show up, do your speed runs, and then you just log off for 6 days. Unless you got to get world buffs or something. So just a lot of SOD, a lot of Cata. Dallied in the mop remix stuff on the alpha when it first came out. That was pretty fun. I'm not going to play it though because I don't know. It's fun, but there's too much WoW to play right now. Like there's way too much. There's so much WoW to play that I don't know what I'm supposed to play. Like I play retail too, so it's like it's crazy. I'm not complaining about it. I think it's a good thing. But yeah, no, it's mainly a lot of SOD, a lot of Cata prep now, and just a lot of digging, as everybody else is.
So you said about when you just going back to what you said about like the whole quest stacking, you know, like quest prepping.
Mm-hmm.
Like I completely agree with you. Like, as in, I think for certain classes or certain like what you're depending on what you're doing is whether it's worth it or not. Like the only reason I've done it is for when I get instance locked out, I've got something to go and hand in. That is genuinely the only reason I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what I heard, it takes about an hour to turn all your quests in anyways to get from 80 to 81. So if I'm just questing in Hyjal, I know it's going to be a little bit packed, but I don't think there's going to be that many bottlenecks there. So that's my plan, just go to Hyjal, and it might take me an hour and a half to do questing instead. And I'm getting quest, like reward upgrades. So I'm getting like 2-8 whatever eye level, and then at the end of the zone, was it 303 or something like that? So like I'm getting rewards and I'm getting rep and I'm still leveling pretty much the same speed. But
I timed it with someone. So I had someone who was quest stacked and said, right, start handing them in and tell me how long it takes you to hand in. And I got more XP from just sitting in Halls of Lightning solo as a rep paladin. Before he handed everything in. Yeah, I'm doing like 2.5 million XP an hour.
It doesn't feel worth it. I know you can do something in between the stuff is like the only argument I think I get. But at the same time, I feel like in between lockouts, you could just go start breadcrumbing your Hyjal. The tabard, you know, that's what I'm gonna do. Like you need to work on the tabard in the off time that you have from when the
mine's a unique situation, I would say, in regards to like I'm duo streaming with Majay for probably the first few days of launch. Fun. Yeah, well, we done it for the launch of Pre-Passion. It was hilarious. Like it was such a great time. Yeah, we done 4 days of non-stop drinking, non-stop streaming, and just like playing Pre-Patch.
I can imagine that would have been a lot of fun. You guys.
Honestly, it was chaos. It was great. But we're doing the same for launch. So it's like on the basis we're going to be duo clearing Halls of Lightning. We're going to be doing. Well, we've already tested it. You know, we're doing 7-8 minute runs. Like, we're going to get locked. So then, while we're locked, we'll be like, right, go and hand in 15 minutes worth of your quests. We'll meet back at Halls of Lightning. Let's get locked out again. Now hand in the rest of your quests. We'll meet back at Halls of Lightning. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's more just a way of getting quick XP whilst we can't do any more dungeons.
Yeah, it's really helpful that you can queue too. Just queue the dungeon wherever you are. That's like the best part.
Well, but you're right, because that is what we'll be doing next. Like, once we've done Halls of Lightning, we'll then do our 7 dailies. Because obviously, for doing the first 7 daily dungeons using RDF, you get like over 100k each one just from the bonus. So we want to get at least that sort of, by the time we do the dungeons and the quests that are in them, assuming that we get Throne at least once and then Blackrock Caverns at least once, which obviously we're going to over 7. Then we're looking at a couple of million XP potentially, maybe like 1.5 million, maybe like from those 7 dungeons with quests, with mob kills.
Did you follow the rest of XP for the preparation, the quest prep?
The vast majority of it. Yeah, I mean, there's certain things I haven't done, as in I started doing the AV rep grind, and I'll be honest with you, I was fucking bored shitless by the time I got to Honored.
Oh yeah. I was watching Grace for days. There's a couple of streamers, and they're doing the 2 days straight rate of the quest prep. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. I'm not sitting in AV for all day long. That's wild.
Yeah, I for the sake of maybe the level taking an extra 10 minutes, I was like, there's no way I'm doing a day in AV just for that.
No way.
But yeah,
slam my face in dungeons, bro.
Yeah, I don't blame you. At least it's going to be fun as well, and you're going to get gear.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm in ICC gear, and today we were just doing like practice runs with the guild, and I was like, a blue dropped, a green dropped that was almost as good as one of the ICC pieces, like a green BOE dropped in the dungeon. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, and everyone's mad that like wasted 9 months of farming gear for Cata, and then you replace it immediately. It's like crazy. I think people sleep on that.
What sort of XP an hour was you getting? Just out of interest.
I had no clue. I wasn't keeping it. I wasn't keeping track. We just grabbed our 5 and slammed our routes.
Did it feel fast?
Different routes and stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, it felt fast. It was pretty quick. 7-minute runs or something. Definitely have time to go spin doing whatever else.
Yeah.
I'll probably just do Hygel stuff. That 12 quests or whatever. It's like about like 12, 13 quests you need to do to get friendly to get to Tabard. Oh, the rep grinds. And aren't the rep grinds are not account, but like the enchant stuff, not account wide, like Lich King is, huh? So you have to do it on all your alts?
Not yet.
Not yet. And I'll be honest with you, it's funny you say that, because that was one thing that I regret not asking. So when I done the interviews, I had a list of probably 15, 16 questions, and I was like cherry picking the ones that obviously I hadn't heard you say. The big ones that I hadn't heard you say. I know we repeated some of the same things, but I ran out of time, and one of them was, are you going to make them the rep enchants account wide? And I just never got to it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask more PvP questions, because I feel like the PvP community gets zero representation every time anything happens with World of Warcraft. I feel like, but there just wasn't time. You know what I mean? Wasn't time. Not enough questions.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have done the same, but I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't know the right questions to ask when it comes to PvP. That's the problem, because I'm not a big PvPer, so I don't really know what their burning questions are.
Yeah, makes sense.
I want to get a PvP guest on, like one of the big PvP boys.
Do it.
Yeah, like I know. Zaryu's probably playing.
Vinruki will be playing too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think I met Vinruki.
That's who I sent questions. That's who I asked for the questions. I was deeming them. Like, I'm asking some PvP questions.
I got too drunk at BlizzCon most nights, and I don't know if I met Vinruki or not. I think I did though. I'm pretty sure I ran into him. He's not going to remember me.
Hilton a lot.
Yeah. I met him in the lobby. Him and Supatees, and I know Supatees is probably going to play too.
I think a lot of retail players are coming to play PvE. That's when it's a good PvP expansion. That's what everyone keeps saying. I don't know. I don't PvP, but
we need an episode.
Maybe I will.
PvP.
Yeah, we can do a PvP episode. Like maybe the week before the PvP season starts. And it can be a bit of a getting ready for PvP and Cata or something. But yeah, we can talk about that. Maybe not right now.
No,
you gotta do that warrior deep dive first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. What do you want to? What do you want to go to? Go. You're leading. You're leading. I'm digging. What are we doing?
Don't tell me I'm leading. We got a first super chat of the night, and speaking of super chats, that's how you help support the show. So throughout the show, if you have any questions for Crix, Scotty, myself, any Cata related questions in general, hit us with a super chat. We'll see it. We'll highlight it. We'll put it on the screen and address it as soon as we have a chance to get to it. So Jace SR asked, as a holy pally, what would you say is the better alt, Resto Druid or Disc Priest? Got the Druid on 80 already.
Oh, Disc Priest, right?
See,
Best healer in the game.
See, I'd say Resto Druid.
I like Resto Druid more, to be fair.
Yeah, I've healed on both, like all tier 11, tier 12. I've not healed any tier 13, if I'm honest, but tier 11 and 12, and I think Resto Druid is going to be one of those that people are kind of sleeping on, where everyone's stuck in the mindset of Holy Paladin Disc Priest for 10 mans. Every group needs a Holy Paladin Disc Priest, even like in 25 mans. Like Disc is great, don't get me wrong, but I think Resto Druid has got like 2 of the most powerful raid healing cooldowns in the game. I almost would take a Resto Druid over a Holy Paladin or a Disc Priest in a 10-man group, for example, because I think they can do it.
Matters a lot of too. Like, what are you doing on that on your alt? Are you going to be like GDAPs? Are you pugging? I feel like you will easily get a spot as the Resto Druid or a Disc Priest. Like, you kind of like you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. But I'd go Resto Druid. But I do think you're asking someone who's got a lot of favoritism towards Druid, because let's face it, just go back to 2019 and look on the channel.
That's how it started.
Your Druid's always going to be close to me.
Before all this mage propaganda, he was a Druid, boys.
Paul, go on, go.
Right. On to the rest of the news then. Yeah, we got the housekeeping out the way there. The show runs usually Wednesdays and Saturdays at about 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern. And we have the next show. It's going to be a little bit different because it's the launch of Cata. So the next show planned is for Monday before launch. So we'll be live leading up to the launch. And
what's the episode?
Vibe.
Get ready for launch.
Yeah, it's just a pre. I'd say a bit of a pre-launch party type vibe. Yeah, like not. I've not got anything specific that I even want to talk about on Monday. It will just be like, what are we doing? Yeah, what's our plans to get to 85? And just general. Let's get hyped up and kill some time while we're all just waiting for the servers to go live.
Last minute digging.
Yeah. Last minute digs.
Launches at the right time too. That would be nice. No delays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've really struggled with things on the beta and that, haven't they? They've really struggled getting things actually launched when they're meant to launch recently.
Mm-hmm. I'm still surprised they launched it so quick. I guess pre-patch hasn't been miserable though, right? Outside of the digging.
It's been fun, but it hasn't been without issues.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah. But the first thing I have up here on the news, Scotty's been talking a lot about this and voicing his opinion on it, but I'm curious, Crix, what you think about this Valor cap being increased to 1,600 from 1,000, and also increasing from 150 per random heroic to 240.
Can I be really awkward? Go, like, I've got it open as all of the whole post. You know what I mean? Where it's got world bosses, chaos orbs, heroic raids, availability. The original post. Do you want to just go through it in order?
Yeah. Let me open that back up. So it was world bosses first.
World bosses first. Yeah.
Yeah. So world bosses on June 4th. So you're not going to be able to level up to 85 or even try to get to the bosses at level 83 to try to down them in your leveling journey to get your hands on these epics really quick. I maybe that would have been a cool thing to do, like just have them open on launch. I don't know if I see the point in delaying it to after. Wait, it is June 4th, so it's after the raids are open.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the week after the reset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
8 days later.
Yeah. My whole thing with world bosses, at least in Era, was when the hardcore servers launched, people were layer hopping. They were getting like 8 different world boss kills with like one same group. So that's my only issue with world bosses. So like the date seems kind of iffy, and is there a way that they could handle people that just down it on one layer, switch to another layer? Are all the layers going to have the same bosses that spawned, or different bosses going to be on different layers? I don't know. It seems weird, really weird.
I've got so much to say about this that I'm going to just be quiet for a minute and let you say stuff, because I've got so many issues with with all of this world boss section post.
The loot too. Yeah, I know the loot seems really weird too. But go ahead, Grix. What do you think about the world bosses?
I want to hear Scottejaye. I want to hear what he says. I have nothing much to say about him. I don't know much about the world bosses in Cata.
All right, so for clarity then, for everybody, these world bosses, they're not world bosses. We're not talking like Lord Kazakh, Azure-Goss. Like we're talking they're you do it with 3 people. You know, blood DKs once you got some gear, you'll solo them. But I do think you're gonna have a decent amount of gear to be able to do that. So you're not going to be doing it when they first launch, but a few of you. Because they used to have like 30 million health, and then they got reduced to like 12.5 million, something like that. And you've got 1 in each zone. So every zone has got their boss. Mount Hyjal's is Gar, for example. Now, my issue with these bosses is the fact that this is going to sound so arrogant, but I genuinely believe this. I think Blizzard watched the video I put out about the world bosses because like this has come from nowhere. Like, it's as if they was like, shit, well, there's world bosses. Well, we'll have to stop those, like, until the raids open. Because I just find it very strange timing that I've been talking about this a lot over the last few days, and then this comes out. And again, I could be completely wrong, but I almost feel like they don't understand what these bosses are. Because they're delaying them till the 4th of June, but the loot that the bosses drop, you can get from day 1. So why delay the bosses? So all they drop is a guaranteed world epic. So use Ring of Ruination, for example. Oh, fucking hell, is that even the right name? I'm sure it is the agility ring. Gilnean Ring of Ruination. Just use that one as an example. Like, you could get that day 1 when you're at 85 and kill something in, like, I don't know, Twilight Islands, or you go in a random heroic. Like, the loot, the BOE epics that come from these bosses, you will be seeing on the auction house with or without these world bosses being available. The only difference is, once every 72 hours, there's 1 guaranteed to drop. That is the difference between that world boss being there and not being there. They're also like making some key craft, like enchanting recipes, incredibly difficult to get. Like agility, strength on bracers, things like that. Because they an easy way to get them are from these. It seems such a backwards way to stop these spawning. And then the other thing about the having them drop 346 gear, like each of these bosses has got a unique item to them, so they cannot be got anywhere else. So there's like a spell power dagger from the Twilight Highlands boss. There's a polearm, like agility polearm for ferals or hunters or whatever from Vashir. You got a belt, so a tanking belt from Gar. Akmahet, he drops a feral / rogue, so leather agility belt. And who's the one I'm missing? Zariona drops a pair of caster Mal gloves. So shaman gloves. None of these items are like outside of maybe the weapons for ferals, hunters, and casters. None of them are like so big that it's like we can't have them getting these items. Like, this is going to break raids, especially when they've got a 72-hour fucking spawn timer and you can only have 2 of them up at a time. So in a week on a server, like depending on how it works layer wise, you ain't going to see many of these items popping up. But then to put them as 346 when the bosses are already dropping 359 gear is mental. Like, it literally is mental.
I think that they would have had to actually change that, because with a lot of things on the beta and stuff so far, it's been at like its 4.3 state as far as loot goes, I think. So then they would have had to manually turn off the 359 eye level and put it back to 346. So yeah, like, why would they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes no sense. Like, these would be a great sort of time sink slash like something to get excited about if you did see one and it's up and it's like, oh shit, like one of our guilds about to get a 359 like unique item from one of these bosses. It's I don't get it's so contradictive. I think that's what I want to say, where it's like, okay, you've disabled them until the raids are opened, so people can't get gear that already drops anyway. And then you've put them as 3, 4, 6, which then makes them useless if they was even up to begin with. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if you had them up at the start, but the weapons were free, like the items that drop were 3, 4, 6, then they said, well, a week after the raids, though, there'll be 3, 5, 9. Then, all right, I could kind of understand that. But not putting their unique loot up to 359 until it's worthless, which it will be, let's face it. If you're waiting until 4.1, who the fuck's going to want to spend loads of gold on a 359 weapon at that point? Or even worry about killing them? What's the point of killing them? Like, I don't know, what,
to sell
4
the
months? Yeah, they will have some value still for alts and stuff, don't get me wrong.
Pretty expensive.
But
sell the enchant patterns, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll have some value, but the most useful time for them would be now, at launch. So yeah, I said I had a lot to say about that. Sorry.
What would be fucking epic? Like, we're not on a PvP server. Is Progress planned on a PvP server?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be some fucking hype ass like shit right on
That'd be hectic.
that day, like June 4th. Everybody's gonna be waiting for the servers to come up. They're gonna be camped at the 5 locations, and they're like,
I'm not excited.
It's gonna be a
excited level. And I feel like EU servers, ever since I moved to EU, they're so much more hectic in terms of PvP in comparison to. Well, actually, I was playing on Benediction, which is like all Alliance, and then when I moved to Faralina, that was all Horde, right? Versus, Gehenna's got some bodies there, bro.
Anything else on that one, Scotty?
No. I looked at what Pill said, and he's like, it's the layering. I do get that, but not every server has got 10 layers. That would vary from server to server. On the mega servers, you're going to see more, yeah, of course, because you're going to have more layers, so you'll see more drops. But we're still not talking like it's going to be flooded. I don't quite know how rares work on layers. I've got to be completely honest with you. Like, it's not something I've ever looked into, so I'm not too sure. Like, if you've got 10 layers up at a time, and let's say layer 10 has got the one rare on it, and then that rare gets killed on layer 10, but then layer 10 disappears because people log off, then when layer 10 spins up again, is that now reset and a rare can spawn on it again? Or has that layer now got a 72-hour spawn timer? Do you know what I mean? I'm not quite sure how that works. So
I don't know about that one either. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that one.
But that would be the only thing that would at least maybe need addressing in that case, so it couldn't be abused. It's like, fine, every layer can have its own 72-hour spawn timer, but like if a layer goes down because the population has dropped on the server, and then that layer then comes back up, like people would just be chasing the newest layer, wouldn't they? So if they see like, oh, layer 11's just come up because loads of people have logged on, you want to get on that layer. But yeah, I'm not too sure how that works, so I won't try and pretend I do.
All right, then the other part of that is it says they'll begin to appear alongside the Baradin Hold raid and its first boss, Argoloth, which that's par for the course with the release of the VOA style PvP bosses. Baradin Hold is in Tolbarad. And yeah, that's how you'll be able to get your tier, legs and gloves, and also a lot of PvP like off pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
And then what was it? There's some bosses that drop mounts, so those will be available. Is that what it said? Except for Poseidus, who drops a mount.
It's not just off.
Be available on launch.
It's not just off pieces PvP, by the way. You do actually get your set pieces for PvP as well. So
a couple, yeah. So that's that first section. The next one was Chaos Orbs. And Cataclysm on the beta, they were bind on equip, but they will be bind on pickup in Cata Classic, just as they were in original Cataclysm. Same sort of deal with the Frozen Orbs in Wrath of the Lich King. If you need your engineering helm for your pre-raid set, then you have to at least have one of these chaos orbs. Does it cost more than one actually? To
No,
make the helm?
one chaos
Yeah,
orb, one
perfect.
true gold, and then some other random shit.
The thing that this limits, I guess, is if you're looking for like leatherworking gear and you're not a leather worker, then you just have to hope that somebody is going into the heroics, getting the chaos orbs and crafting that gear, or like getting the orbs and then you pay them for the orb with your craft. So there's some money making potential there. Or if you have a guild leather worker or whatever other profession that you need your crafted gear from, then you're going to want to try to help them get the orbs for yourself.
The thing that you're going to see being done almost immediately, and Pete, obviously, on the last podcast I was on, it was joked about, oh yeah, like hard, chaos orbs, hard reserve, looking for more.
Yeah.
But you're going to see tailors hard reserving chaos orbs. No one else.
Yep.
I bet you don't see anybody else hard resing them, but you'll see tailors hard reserving chaos orbs. And that's purely because you get an extra cooldown, which has got no cooldown.
You need them for engineering for the goggles too.
Yeah.
Only one, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry. What was interesting, I thought you said, Scotty, was you hope that these are only viewable by the players that can use it for the professions that they have.
Ooh.
That's how it should work. It's not like I hope, like that. That's how it worked in Cataclysm.
So if you're doing like random heroics and you don't have to have the orbs hard reserved because you can't hard reserve when you're queuing up randomly, then you just got to hope that somebody that's in there with no professions at all or has mining herbalism as their professions, that they're not going to be able to roll need on it and then like just leave the dungeon and vendor it because they can't use it. So that would suck.
See, I believe how they worked originally was even alchemists couldn't see them, so it was only tailoring, engineering, leatherworking, and blacksmithing. I believe they're the only professions that could actually see chaos orbs when they dropped. I might have missed a profession there, but you get what I mean. It's like if your profession physically can't make use of a chaos orb, you wouldn't even see it on the boss. And that, especially with like cross-faction, cross-realm RDF and stuff like that, like I think that just absolutely needs to be working. But obviously, I don't know whether it works or not because they've been on the beta for literally since launch of beta. They've been BOE, so it's kind of not really mattered.
I gotta address the latest super chat from Aiden. Scotty, can you make more long form Ret Paladin pointers? I can't get much up to date Ret Paladin tips, tricks, glyph options, professions, etc. Thanks. I don't know if you did a Paladin video already that we could just send him the link for.
Yeah, he's probably already seen the pre-patch one because that will probably be the one that he's referring to. I've already started working on a Ret Paladin guide for actual Cata. Which is probably not for everyone because it's very, very detail orientated. I mean, literally using Simcraft 4.3 version of Simcraft, taking stat weights using Reforged Light, looking at stat factors. It's not probably the most friendly, but it's not meant to be either. So it's funny you say that, and I don't want to turn this into like a podcast about me. But like I said to Go, and Go knows, I used to love the days of really focusing on one class. Like, I used to just make pure druid content. I used to love that. Like Crix does with warlocks. So if any warlocks are watching, you don't already, watch Crix's content, you absolutely should. But like, I'm really looking forward to just trying to get as much out of a Ret Paladin and Cata as physically possible. So like, I probably will be putting a lot of Ret Paladin specific content out throughout Cata. Obviously, I'll still be doing everything else as well, but yeah, I'm not going to like try and cover loads of different classes. It will be like Ret Paladin will be the one where it will be regularly sort of updated guides, updated BIS lists, and all of that.
Yeah, that's so hard to do. I gave it to you guys because I can't do that. I don't have it in me. I tried it with Sod, a couple classes. I didn't like it. It's just one class is just so much easier to focus on.
Yeah.
And Scotty knows we do this to each other. We hate giving each other compliments, but I did see Scotty wasn't streaming the raid testing, but I was watching Riggs's stream, and Scotty was usually on the top as a rep paladin. I was like, fuck, man, I'm gonna have to actually like try hard against Scotty to beat him on the damage meters here. I was hoping Rets were gonna be shit, but it looks like they're kind of pumping.
Yeah, Rets are slapping right now.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, you didn't even know what to say. He's like, oh, fuck.
Well, no, I mean, there was times where I weren't on top. You must have just been looking at the right moments. But yeah, you know,
Yeah,
I do all right as a rep.
all right, Crix, what do you think about this? Because I think this is how they've been releasing all the raids. But the heroic raids in original Cataclysm, access to attempt heroic raids required first completing them on normal difficulty. This is not the case in Cata Classic. You can go straight into heroic raiding. So I know, yeah, you like it. Yeah, I mean, I like it.
Why is it fun to go into the normal right away? Especially for like racing purposes. Wouldn't you rather see like everybody go in there and the raid opens up and they're just bashing their face in the heroic right away? You know, especially seeing how guilds are doing on the beta. Everyone's talking about how complaining about post nerf and how easy the raids are. They haven't done it on heroic on the raid testing right now because almost everybody's sitting there chain wiping before they kill some bosses. So I like it heroic. I like hard content. I know people say go play retail for that, and I do play retail for that, but I like being able to have that little bit of hard content in classic as well, you know.
I 100% agree with you. I don't see why. Like, my opinion on it has changed like over the years, like since classic launched. But I do fully sit in the camp of, well, why gatekeep now? Like, just if you don't feel confident going in and doing heroic on night one, then go in and do normal. Like, normal's there, but like, don't stop people who want to go in and get like the hardest challenge like possible from the word go. Like, I'm for that. Especially with the increased cadence. Like, if you was trying to slow it down and make the content last a bit longer, you know, and then maybe you're almost forcing everybody to go and do normal the first week, then that's cool. But you know, we know Cata's going to go a little bit quicker than it did back in the day, at least. So yeah, just open it straight away.
I mean, one thing I was questioning before the show that I had to get on the beta and look up was, I was thinking that you had to have the 359 like token piece for your helm and shoulders to then upgrade it to the 372. Is that the right eye levels? But I got on there and like, no, you just get your heroic token and then you can get your heroic helm and shoulders.
That's right.
The only upgrades, the upgrades that you need to do that for to have the previous 359 piece is the 3 that you can buy from Valor.
And so, hands, legs, and chest.
Yeah. So you still have to get those in order to upgrade to the heroic version. You can't just take your heroic token and then turn in for your heroic piece for those 3. But yeah, you can for helm shoulders.
You do also get a freebie, don't you? Well, not a freebie, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you also get like the essence from Alakir, where it can be traded in for literally anything, I believe. I mean, obviously you can trade it in for any heroic token, but I kind of feel like it can be traded in for anything full stop. So you've got like the specific like Paladin, Priest, Warlock, Rogue, Death Knight, Mage, Druid, but you've got those typical tokens, but then you got one that anybody can use and you can just get whatever you want with it.
Mm-hmm. Ah. I saw that item. I didn't know what the hell it did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it should work. At least.
All right. Next section was the PvP availability and rewards, and the Valor is also tied into this section.
Oh, so in fuck's sake, I've got another rant coming. Go on.
Yeah, no, can we just copy pasta from like your video or the last podcast? But in Cataclysm Classic PvP, the weekly caps for Valor and the seasonal cap for Conquest have been increased by roughly 60%. The rewards granted for certain activities have been adjusted. So the weekly cap for Valor is now 1,600. We'd stop there, break this down. It was 1,000 on the beta. It's gone through multiple different changes originally in Cata when it was launched. Scotty knows the numbers. It was like 1,250, 980, and then 1,000 at the end of Cata. So yeah, Scotty, go ahead. How does this 1,600 Valor cap now change for you? Like, was that a good change?
Yes. Yes, it was a good change, but like in typical Blizzard fashion, in my opinion, bad implementation. Like, assuming it does go live like this. So yeah, like having a 1K Valor point cap is just like dog shit. That just shouldn't be the case. 1,600, cool. Yeah, that's nice. Like 12, I'd have settled for 1,250. Like that. 1,250 would have been cool, but 1,600 is even better. I'm sorry for anyone who watched the podcast, like Warcraft Reloaded. Shout out to Warcraft Reloaded, because I was on there talking about the same thing literally like 2 hours ago. I don't agree with the whole being able to cap your raiding currency without raiding. And I know like people, more casual players may think I'm like, I don't know, trying to be elitist or whatever, but I'm not. It's the same way as I look at it as in every single expansion up until now. You would get about a third. It is actually what Subtle said. I could sit and work it out, but I'm sure he's right. Your emblems of frost. So by doing your daily heroic every day on Wrath, you'd get your daily gamma. You'd get your 5 emblems of frost to try and get your tier 10 gear. But then, the majority of them came from raiding. You'd go and do ICC 10, ICC 25. You weren't forced to do heroic. You could just do normal and get your sort of cap, if you like. You was capped on the amount of emblems you could get a week by doing your dailies and by raiding. Whereas in Cata, you can get that cap by doing 7 5-man heroics. Which you're going to do anyway for rep. If you've done 7 random heroics a day, a week, 7 random heroics a week, it would probably take you till phase 2 just to get your reps done. Like, in all seriousness, 7 heroics is nothing when you're trying to get exalted with, 5 or 6 different reputations. I just feel like the increase in the cap to 1,600, yes. The increase in the reward from the random heroic to being 240, so you're getting capped by doing your 5 random heroics, it is just like kind of a no for me. I feel like you should at least have to kill some raid bosses to get raid currency.
So to skip down to the bottom part really quick, to send it to Crix, in Cataclysm Classic, where is it at? Please note, Valor will not be earnable between the launch of Cata and the first weekly reset in each region. So as somebody that's planning on like getting to 85 as fast as possible in a high performance guild, how does that feel to not have that like extra incentive or extra bonus for being able to get to level 85, doing all that prep?
It's like both ways. You don't have to push as hard, but then it kind of sucks because you're not rewarded for pushing that hard at the same time. So it's kind of sitting on both fences on it. Sitting on the fence? What's the saying? Either one?
Yeah. And how does that 1,600 change reflect with like your pre-raid gearing mindset too? Because now all of a sudden you can get like 2 better pieces probably, whereas you might have had to only be able to get, say, your tier gloves or something beforehand.
I don't think it changes it too much with how our previous is with Warlock, which I guess we'll talk about when we go over the Warlock stuff. I assume we talk about BIS and stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about I just want to address a comment. So, Oppie, like, I don't want you to get the wrong impression from what I was just saying. I'm not suggesting that people should be doing heroic raiding, like to get Valor. I'm just saying, like, let's say the cap's 1,600, and you got 200 from each. Let's say you got 220 from each dungeon, or 210 from each dungeon, whatever. So there's a small amount of the cap that you're not reaching. So let's say you could get 1,400 from the random heroics each week. So you're not going to be that much a disadvantage by never ever raiding in terms of like the gear you can buy from the vendor. But if you want that extra 200, then you raid. Like that's it. Then it's kind of like a happy medium where you can almost get your cap just from 7 random heroics a day. But if you want to reach the absolute cap for the week, then you need to go and kill, I don't know, 6 or 7 normal bosses. that to me is like a reasonable thing to expect, rather than being able to hard cap a raiding currency without ever raiding. It makes no sense to me. Like at that point, what are you even getting the gear for? Like, why are you bothered about getting a 1600 cap anyway if you're not going to go and raid? Like I don't really see the point.
And then it also looks like you can get 35 per Argoloth kill and Baradin hold, and then on 10 man, and then 45 Valor for doing it on 25. So that's an extra 80 Valor points right there. That you're just not going to get that bonus for.
Well, you'd only do one, wouldn't you?
Oh, you can only do one. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you're right. You know.
Well, I only watched the video that came out yesterday from Blizzard that said that you can do 10 and 25. So sorry for my confusion.
But no, you're right though. Like as in, but that's something else I would change actually. Like the fact that 10 man bosses give 35 each and 25 give 45 each. When you're trying to make everything equal in terms of gear and everything, like I would have just had both give 45 or 35. But you know, while you're fucking about with valor values in terms of like how much valor you can get, that would have been something that I personally looked at. But yeah, again, we all think we're a developer. That's the problem. You know, we played a game, right. We played a game, and then we think
know how it should work.
We know how it should work. Yeah, and you know, the unfortunate truth is we don't. But I do know that it doesn't fit, and it never will. You know, this is like a one-off where you can just get full raid currency without ever raiding. As in, Cataclysm is a one-off where they should really look at that and I don't know, just use your brain.
All right, this one I don't know if either of you two even know the answer because I've PvP'd in the past. I haven't looked this one up to see how this really affects like the PvP conquest points, but the initial cap for conquest points is now 4,000 and increases by 4,000 every week throughout the season. So can you get conquest points for every single like rated battleground? And
RBG.
just like, so week 1 you can RBG, get your 4K cap. You can do arenas also to help you get to that cap. Week 2 now you can get 8,000 conquest points, like just spamming rated battlegrounds, and then it just gets better and better every week after that. That seems crazy.
Yeah, I didn't really understand this bit. I've got to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not a PvPer, so I don't really understand the benefit of having a cap go that high, because surely when you get that many enough conquest points to buy an item, you're going to buy an item.
Yeah.
And then, like, surely by about week 3, if you was capping for like 3 weeks, you're not going to have pretty much everything you need when you can get 12k in week 3. I don't know. I've not looked at the values, you know, so I don't know. But it does seem like quite a crazy increase. Yeah, or then like, is it just is that like a built-in catch-up mechanic? You know, if you think about it, so the initial cap starts at 4k, but then if you don't start PvPing until like let's say week 6, you could PvP really, really hard for an entire week, and get a lot of conquest points to be able to literally buy nearly all your PvP gear in 1 week. Like, I'm not sure. As I say, like, take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt, because I don't know enough about PvP and Cata to really comment too much. But that's what it reads to me as a bit of a, like, you can jump in and start PvPing at any time and not be ridiculously far behind.
Maybe it already had like an increase to it. For like just first glance, I was like, so it didn't increase by anything week to week, so it was just like 4k. But maybe it did have some portion, because I'm like, where's that 60% increase that they mentioned one sentence ago for the conquest? Like, where did that come from? So maybe it was like 3,200 every week, and then now it's bumped up to 4k or something. That would make a little bit more sense to me.
Well, as someone who does, like, again, yeah, I'm no PvP like a guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I have said multiple times on these podcasts and videos and everything, like, I do want to take PvP a lot more seriously in Cataclysm, and I really seriously do intend to. But for someone who's still going to prioritize PvE, and getting all my raid characters set up, you know, I look at that and I'm like, actually, I'm not going to feel bad for missing the first couple of weeks of the season. You know, it's like I can get fully set up for PvE. Know I'm going to have a little bit of a rougher time to begin with because I haven't got as much PvP gear as the other people, but because my cap is higher, I'll be able to, like catch up and not feel behind. So, for me personally, I look at that as a good thing. But...
Dude, the PvP catch-up mechanics right now in pre-patch have been phenomenal. Dude, it's so cheap to buy the PvP gear. Like you do a winter grasp, you can get like your 2-7 eye level like max wrath like tier pieces or whatever you want to call them, like 5 set, and like you can get a 277 weapon from PvP for like 350 honor or something like that. Oh. So I fully decked out my Tauren Druid, my original main, and went in, did some battlegrounds, like smashed it in 1500 resilience. Like it was insane. So at the end of a phase in Cata, if I wanted to like no life a little bit of PvP, get all of the gear really quick, like I have been able to right now, that'd feel really good to be able to have that option.
Have you been doing Winter Grasp? I know it's a random question, but
oh yeah.
How much honor are you getting for a win?
250-ish.
Cool.
So yes, low 200, something like that. And then there's like 5 weekly quests, and those give you a load of extra honor as well. So I'm
800 shy of the cap, and I want to obviously get capped tomorrow. So I was like thinking I might just, amongst all the other prep, like last minute prep I'm doing tomorrow, I'll just try and get in a couple of Winter Grasps.
Yeah, like if you do the 3 for the last day or something like that, then yeah, you'll be fine.
Cool.
All right, and the other part there for that one was 2v2 and 5v5 will no longer be eligible brackets for earning gladiator titles or rewards.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
why?
I know.
Did they say why?
I think that's how it originally worked, and they just made it only 3v3 back in the day.
It actually originally worked like that in Wrath, apparently.
In Wrath?
Don't quote me on that, but I saw someone say earlier, I don't know if it was on Discord, like my Discord, or somewhere. I definitely saw someone say earlier that that was actually how it worked originally in Wrath. But PvP's balanced around 3s.
And 5s, but 2s I feel like is really, that's like,
I do 2s. Like if I'm doing arena, I'm doing double DPS 2s. Like,
5s. I kind of get 5s, but 2s. I mean, damn, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, 5s. Like we just use 5s to get like a higher conquest weekly cap from the rating, and then you use that to help gear out your 3v3 like sessions. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Then I guess there is one last section kind of tied into PvP mainly. I hope Scotty's got it on the screen. I didn't really see. Let me see. Whether or not it's about transmog. Rather than utilize the replica PvP vendors that were originally added in patch 4.3, we're changing all the original WoW Classic era PvP gear to be usable as transmog appearances. So all these pieces of armor have been and will continue to be available from the Legacy Armor and Legacy Weapon Quartermasters in both Champions Hall in Stormwind and the Hall of Legends in Orgrimmar. And that little tiny room, the little PvP room, is getting pretty like overwhelming with like NPCs in there that you can just go in there and you have to like, all right, what's this vendor giving me? What's this one selling?
You gotta do that thing where you walk in and talk to every single one of them to figure out who has the shit that you need. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh shit, this looks really good. And oh, that's level 70. Never mind.
And the worst part is when you go to buy a new set of gear, you forget. So you have to sit there and talk to all of them again to figure out.
Yeah. Like I just bought my PvP staff like in the pre-patch here, and it's 277 eye level. And I had a comment on the VOD, and they were like, dude, you talked to the wrong vendor. And I panicked. I was like, did I really like buy the wrong eye level like staff? And I like PvP'd for like the whole night without the right staff. But
I feel so bad, Go. I feel so bad because you said something so nice about me earlier, and now I want to take the piss out of you because I was about to say, bear with me, I was about to say, well, I'm not surprised if you did buy the wrong gear because I watched you stream for an hour thinking you was playing Mup Remix and you was playing Retail.
No way.
So funny story. When like the Mop Remix alpha came out or whatever it was, the beta, whatever, and you could go in there and test it. I made a character and it had like a little pop-up menu when you create a tune, and I picked the wrong one. I didn't pick the time walking, like whatever the fuck that I was supposed to. I picked an actual fucking like druid for retail, and I didn't even realize it. I was playing the whole thing. I was like, dude, this is just fucking retail. I was like, what is this island? This isn't like Mista Pandaria. Like, what am I doing all this for? I played for like 4 hours and I was pissed the fuck off. I was like, dude, what the hell? And everybody spam commented. They're like, dude, that was retail. No, you didn't actually play the beta.
It was the funniest shit ever, Craigs. Like, honestly, watching him play the wrong game, thinking he was playing the right game, it was just the best.
But I did go back.
That's a drastically different game too. That's crazy.
Yeah, I made the right character finally, and it wasn't that big of a difference. Like for real, it was just I was actually in like a mop zone, but everything else was pretty much the same.
Besides this retail, right?
Yeah. I still had dragon riding, so I got to learn how to do that. That was kind of cool.
Cool. Yeah. Anyway, are we done with that news post? Are we happy?
Yeah.
Quick, so I've got a question for you though. Do you plan? I know obviously you're a big time PvE ordinarily, but do you plan on doing any PvP in Cata?
Yeah, I wanted to. Yeah. Let's do 2s and probably 3s now, right? But yeah, I want to get into it more. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I'm the same. I feel like in TBC and oh mate.
Good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like I've missed out on a big portion of the game in TBC and RAF by not doing arenas, and I think like having RBGs now is going to be like that sort of kick up the arse that I need to actually just make me want to PvP. You know, doing RBGs, arena nights with the boys. Yeah, like take it relatively seriously, just for extra content outside of raids.
Yeah, I always say every expansion that I'm going to play, but I never do.
I think I've said the same as well.
I never end up playing. I'm always like, yeah, I'm gonna play it, but I never do.
See, I usually gear up, but then I just use it for battlegrounds, and I do a little bit of arenas, but it's always hard. It has been hard as a balance druid. Maybe it's not that hard anymore in Cata to like find a partner. Like who the fuck wants to play with a Boomy in TBC for arena? Like nobody. So like there was no option for me there. Maybe like a Ellie Shaman. And then Wrath, I played with Riggs, the homie Riggs, and we like DK, we blood DK Boomkin 2s, and we got 1800. It wasn't like 2K plus, nothing like that, but we were having a fucking blast, dude.
Yeah.
Cool. Next, go.
On to breaking down Warlock. I don't even know where to start.
Warlocks are amazing. They're top tier pretty much the entire expansion. There's absolutely zero copium going into this. All 3 specs are really, really good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, are they all just like pure DPS? Like, is there one better for single target, one better for AoE?
Demonology is the best spec for single target. I wouldn't say significantly, but significantly at the same time, due to how we have mastery swaps. So pretty much when you use Metamorphosis, it turns you into a demon. And when you meta, it snapshots all the mastery you have. So if I was to have a mastery on-use trinket, and I use that trinket, and it gives me 2,000 mastery, and then I pop into meta, and then take that trinket off, that mastery stays with me until meta's done. So some cheesy shit that I wouldn't say it's mandatory, but like if you're like trying to parse or whatever your situation is with rating, you're gonna want to do it. It's like you have a whole set of I have a whole set of gear that adds, I don't even know how much mastery, right? Like 93% or something like that. And it's like tank gear, even like tank trinkets that have a bunch of mastery or whatever it is, right? And then all pre-pull, you have a whole mastery set you put on with like 3 seconds left, pop meta, swap your normal gear back on, all just using a macro or keybind or item rack. I think Blizzard has does Blizzard have a
they got it
game like gear switcher? Yeah, I use item rack, but you can use anything. It sounds hectic, but it's not, besides having to keep a bunch of gear on you. Yeah, and you just swap your normal gear back on, then you go about your rotation. So, and that adds a shit ton of DPS. Even on our sims right now, I think Demo's like a K or 2 higher than AF and Destro, which are pretty much on par with each other on single target. And it's the sims don't even have the mastery swap in there yet, so it's going to be even higher on that. A lot of people don't like it. The community's mixed. A lot of people don't want to do it because it's hectic. It can be hectic, but you just go stare at a trade target dummy for a while, and you'll be able to get it down. And then the other one is pet twisting. That's another thing that kind of is wonky. There's a spell called Demon Soul, which gives you a buff depending on what demon you have out. If you have your Fell Hunter out, it gives you, what is it, 20% dot damage or something like that. But if you have your Felguard out, it gives you 15% haste and 10% damage, which is like way better than 20% dot damage, right? Especially as a demonology. But the problem is your Fell Hunter does drastically more DPS than your Felguard does. Like insane, unless it's an AoE situation. On single target, Shadow Bite was buffed significantly in Cata, and it does 15% more damage every time you have another dot on the target too. So it just stacks up and it does hella damage. So as a Demon or Warlock, you're actually using your Fell Hunter, but you want your Felguard out whenever you Demon Soul. So you're twisting, we call it pet twisting, every 2 minutes to make sure your Felguard's out when you Demon Souled, and you get your Fell Hunter back out mid combat, and you're doing a bunch of pre-pull shenanigans. But all of that combined makes Demon Warlock like upper echelon above almost everybody else in single target. Like right up there with the Fire Mages, Arms Warrior eventually, obviously Unholy DK slapping right now, Survival Hunter slapping right now. But Demo's going to be very, very good. For Affliction and Destro, they're not far behind. They're not that far behind on single target, but they're also kind of on par with each other. I think Destro actually is coming ahead on single target. Granted, Sims, take it with a grain of salt. It's just Sims. You never know, right? But Destro is in a much better place than people thought it was going to be. And I kind of had a feeling it would be, because I know it's just leveling, but when I was leveling as Destro, it was like, I was like, dude, these spells are hitting way harder than I remember them hitting on private servers. So Af and Destro are still very viable. Those are still A tier classes. Af will start shining more in multi-target situations. You have some cleave with Havoc with Destro, but Af's still going to have better multi-target situations. And then the AoE comes from a Demon Lock again. Demon Lock AoEs I think Fire Mage has the best AoE if I had to put my bet on it, but Demon Warlock's right behind them. Like Fire Mage and Demon Warlock AoE is, if I say they're S tier, the third place class would be like B tier type shit. It's like that far ahead.
Damn.
No, it's 15% damage on Shadow Bite per dot.
So Demo brings DI too, right? So
yeah, that's just Warlock. That's just Warlock
all
ability.
Warlocks bring DI,
Warlock.
yeah, Dark
Okay,
Intent.
I thought it was a specific spec. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, all Warlocks do. So it's good to go on that, which is nice. DI is a focus magic type buff, where mages have focus magic, except for Warlocks. Warlocks got a couple spells that makes them feel magey, like with Soul Harvest too. Like, so we have our own Evocate, but instead of giving it mana, it gives us health and our Soul Shards, which Soul Shards change. We can talk about that too. But we have Dark Intent, which is a haste buff for you and somebody else, and it procs off who you give it to. Like if I give it to Scotty on a mage, procs off dots, gives me 9% damage. And so there's a whole like priority system on who you're supposed to give it to and all types of shit that people are arguing over.
So, like when we're talking, like, well, actually, a couple of things. So I want to break down a couple of things. So let's start with the good thing first. So when we're talking about like pet twisting, so yeah, obviously you're using Demon Soul with the Felguard. Like people are probably instantly thinking, man, that sounds fucking punishing. But I'm assuming we're soul burning and yeah, we're not hard casting Fel Hunters out and shit. Like you're using your soul shards on instant summoning, yeah?
When you can. There's a spell called Soul Burn, for those that don't know, and what it does is it pretty much makes some of your spells change. Like if you were to Soul Burn and use a Hellstone, it gives you 20% max health or whatever. Or if you Soul Burn and then it makes your next pet cast instant. You don't have to summon it like actual cast time. Or if you Soul Burn and use your Demonic Gateway, you get a speed boost. I don't remember what it was, 20%, 30% or something. You get a speed boost for a little bit afterwards. The main thing you use it on is pet summons. So like in the beginning, you're like when a 2 minute comes back, it's very easy in the beginning because you just already have a soul burn up. The fight started, you're fresh, you have all your shards and stuff. But if a fight lasts longer than 2 minutes, that's Demon Soul cooldown. You need to start getting your pets back out. But right now, you just hard cast a Felguard ahead of time. Like I don't know if it's right, but I like hard casting a Felguard when I have like 10 seconds left on the cooldown for Demon Soul. Charge him in there, let him get a Fellstorm off, and then when Soul Burn comes up, I just pop Demon Soul, and then get rid of him so I can instant cast a Fell Hunter, because you rather instant cast a Fell Hunter since you have Demon Soul ticking versus when you don't have it ticking and you're pulling your Felguard out.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then
Demon Soul is Demon Soul. I mean, not Demon Soul, but Soul Shards change. You don't have Soul. We have Soul Shards, but we only have 3 charges of them, so you no longer have to go like shard farm and like stack your bags up with them, because now you can replace Soul Shards with gear, mastery gear, right? But yeah, you just have Soul Shards. You have 3 Soul Shards to use throughout a fight. If you kill something with Shadow Burn, which only Destro takes, it gives you 3 Soul Shards. You can Soul Harvest, which is the evocation channel I was talking about. You can only do out of combat though. So during a long encounter, which there are fights that are really long on the raid testing right now in Heroic, like you will run out of your 3 shards and just not have shards unless you snipe and add or something.
And then the second thing, which is I've already seen people mention it in chat, and it's a, I'm not going to say it's a problem that I've got as a Ret Paladin. Well, it is a problem I've got as a Ret Paladin, but not that I've got a problem with it, if you know what I mean. It's going to be a thing I'm doing. I've not got a problem doing it, but it could become a problem for other Ret Paladins, and it's relevant for Warlock as well. Like with your mastery, obviously snapshotting Metamorphosis, having a full set of gear to snapshot it before the pull, and then go to your normal gear, which is going to have haste break points and more relevant stats.
Boomkin too, by the way.
Oh, Boomkin as well. Okay, so there's multiple tier sets where we're going to see people doing the same thing. We're going to have Enhancement Shaman, Snapshotting Resto Shaman, 4-set in Dragon Soul. We've got like a 4-set snapshot for Ret Paladins. Like, do we think Blizzard will change that sort of thing? Because I feel like historically they kind of do change those sort of things. Like, do you think they will? And would it be a big deal if they did? Like, where it didn't snapshot your mastery?
I've talked to a couple devs before about it, and they're not acting like they're changing it. I don't see them changing. I'm on the fence. I don't want them to, because I like the sweatiness of it. Like, if you see a demo lock in your raid and he's mastery swapping and pet twisting, and then you look at a demo lock not doing it, you will see a drastic difference in DPS, and I like that. Anything that you can do for your class to be a little sweatier than another person, it stands out. It's really good. But also, I'm on the side of the community as well, where I would probably dare say an overwhelming amount of the community does not want to do, whether they're lazy or they don't want to carry the gear or whatever the reason that it is, they don't want to do the mastery swaps. I personally just keep it in. I think they're going to keep it in, unless I could see them, like, if we're just demolishing in tier 11, like we're tier 11 full bis and we're just gapping people, then maybe they look at it, but that's not the issue. I don't think it's going to be the issue. I think we're going to do great, but I don't think we're going to be gapping the fire mages and the survival hunters and unholy DKs and stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the more we talk to more classes, which is great that we have a Warlock on here now. And Scotty, I didn't even realize that Paladin had something like that too for mastery, like in specific. Like, all three of us have an option to snapshot our mastery to increase our DPS.
Oh, so no, mine's not mastery. Mine's a set bonus.
Oh, okay.
It's just
set bonus.
Yeah, for the Guardian of Ancient Kings.
But if you pull all people, like all specs together in one raid that can do this sort of stuff, then that raid's going to have a pretty big advantage overall to a raid that doesn't do it. So I can see them changing it. It doesn't affect me. Like, I might mastery swap if I get into that, if I have enough loot to be able to do that. If I get bored, I'm like, oh yeah, let me try to get this mastery piece so that I can use that to snapshot my solar eclipse pre-pull. Then yeah, I might do it. It's cool to have that option. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how much of an increase it is for DPS. Like, if one spec can increase their DPS by like 3,000 or something like that, then maybe that would be like a line to be like, yeah, this needs to get tuned back. But then maybe at that point they would be like, well, since we're changing it for this class, we're just going to nuke this whole snapshotting stuff for everybody.
Yeah. I would dare say the snapshotting for demo locks is significantly more than every other class of snapshot right now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because as soon as we leave our solar eclipse, our snapshot's gone. So
yeah, we have it the whole time we're in meta, right? It's just and then you can't swap the gear on mid raid. You can't do anything about it like when you're in a fight, but it's just pre-pull shenanigans. I mean, there's some fights where you're not going to do that because you're saving your meta for a little bit longer, or like, whatever reason that fits the raid encounter. But for the most part, you'll do it. But you'll definitely see people. It could be toxic at the end too, because you have GDKPs going and you go to one boss and you get kicked because they see you're way down the meter, but the other lock is over here carrying, and like, why aren't you doing it? And they're snitching on you, saying you're not mastery swapping or you had the wrong pet out. I think it's going to end up being pretty toxic. Yeah,
I think that would be great for GDKPs, because you said that like Warlock's going to want like tank trinkets. Like, you go to a GDKP tank, it's like free loot almost for the most part. So yeah, now cheap, all of a sudden, hey, tanks gotta spend that gold now.
It would be nice. Yeah, I mean, I like it. It adds more nuance to it. It gives you something else to do. It's not just wait. You have it can suck. Well, one of the problems people have is it doesn't happen to our guild that much, but I can see it happening all the time, especially in GDKPs, is if you're off a second, if someone pulls early, you see a fucking pet charge in or whatever, and you're stuck on your mastery gear with 2% hit instead of 17, and you're just yelling. It happened to me on the beta, and I yelled at the raid leader. I was like, yo, it wasn't my guild. I was like a pug, but he's like, all right, we're pulling, and he charges in. I'm full mastery to everything. I was so mad, it was crazy. Like, that's gonna happen a lot too.
No, this type of stuff I feel like is probably okay to leave as like a min-max option. The whole thing in like Wrath that they were addressing a lot was having like one spec and then respecking to another spec and continuing to have a buff from your previous spec after you've already swapped. It was like for like feral druids could pre-pop treants. They could have a boomkin spec, pop their treants down, swap to feral, like pre-pull, and then they would have treants as well on top of their normal DPS. And I know they adjusted loads of other stuff in Wrath too. So that kind of stuff, I was like, yeah, cool. Like change that shit because I don't want to spec swap pre-pull.
Yeah, I can definitely see if like demos are doing very, very good, and like people on Reddit are complaining about nerf warlock this, nerf warlock that, and then they make a how people make a post about warlock swapping, and then next they change it. So it's definitely possible they can change it. They can change pet twisting too. I hope they don't because that's why demo warlocks are so good right now.
Yeah, they shouldn't. Pet twisting shouldn't change. There's no way that should change.
No.
But the thing with Rare is like it's like Warlock. To get the most out of it, you still need to be getting better gear throughout the phases. To have your mastery set that you're gonna pre-pull with. Yeah, it's not like you're getting your set in phase 1 and then that's what you're gonna use in Dragon Soul. You're still needing to upgrade that constantly. Whereas with Rare, it's going to suck in phase 1 because I'm going to need to get my 4 set for Rare and my 4 set for Prot. But then that 4 set for Prot, I'm still going to be using in Dragon Soul. Because it's the Prot 4 set increases Guardian of Ancient Kings, which is our 5-minute cooldown. It increases the duration of it by 50%. So, like, you use 4 set Prot, you pop your Guardian Ancient Kings like on 1 second of the pull timer, and then switch to your normal gear. So like arguably, getting 4 set Prot as a Ret Paladin could potentially be a bigger DPS gain than getting 4 set Ret to begin with. I've not looked at exactly like what would be more beneficial. 10% more damage with Templar's Verdict still probably going to outweigh it over the course of a longer fight, but yeah, like the 4 set Prot set as a Ret Paladin is like mega important for the entire expansion. So like I kind of hope it don't get changed, but if it did, I would kind of get it. Using an off specs 4 set as part of your DPS rotation is like a bit weird. I want to ask you a question.
Some funky stuff you do with warlocks as well. Demo warlocks for the demonic pack, you'd use tier 7 4-piece and just swap it on life tap, take it off type shit for the extra spell power on it.
Oh yeah,
demonic packs is pretty nice. And they didn't change that, but granted, it wasn't as big of a deal,
Yeah. But I want to ask you. So you've said like demo, affliction, destruction. Like demo's the best. But if you had to rank the 3, because I'm going to put this on screen once you've said it, I rely like WoW Sims. Is great. I love WoW Sims as a good way to go. Oh, is this an upgrade? And look at an item, and then do for some classes you can even do regems.
It's a good baseline.
Yeah, but for Cata, I live and die by the 4.3.2 version of Simcraft. Which
simulation craft,
and I use it all the time. I've got it open now, and I've got all 3 warlock specs in tier 12 normal. So it's slightly better geared than what you'd be in heroic tier 11. So I want you to tell me what order the 3 specs are in. As in, like, is it demo? Then affliction, destruction
sure I would put demo a gap ahead of the other 2 specs, and I would par the other 2 specs. I would put affliction, destro on the same line. Everything, they're both on par with each other, single target. They both have great cleave and multi-target. Obviously, affliction is going to have better multi-target, but destro still has amazing cleave. They both kind of have the same single target. Maybe give the nod to affliction because they have an execute. You're still doing the drain soul execute. Same with Demo, still using Soulfire, but between Destro and then you don't have an execute as Destro really. I guess Shadowburn changed. You can only use it in execute and it does a lot of damage, but like it's not like game breaking by any means. It's not as good. I'd probably give Af the nod over Destro slightly just because they have execute phase. Like a strong execute phase, like it's still just as strong. I think Drain Soul is nerfed from Lich King to Cata from 4 times to double. I could be wrong on that. But other than that, their execute is still the best in the game.
All right. Well, I've done
Destro.
I've done 25,000 iterations on a patchwork style fight. All buffs, like every buff that you'd need. I didn't bother doing the scout. So I use this, by the way, just to make it clear. I use this for stat weights purely for Reforged Light. That is like exactly what I use Simcraft for. I don't look at it and go, oh, it's telling me I should do 32,000 DPS. Like I don't use it for that. I look and go, these are what my stats are. This is what my gear is. Like what are my stat weights, so I can reforge like in the best possible way. But I just, while we was talking, I just done all 3 Warlock specs in tier 12 normal gear. Is there anything else relevant here? What is the boss length? 450 seconds is what I've actually done the boss length as, which is a bit of a weird length. Because it's a bit long. You're gonna get your cooldown. What, you got a 2-minute cooldown, right? Which is the big one.
And meta as well. Meta kind of more or less. You have a talent called Impending Doom that lets your meta have a chance to take 15 seconds off when you incinerate and stuff. So sometimes you can get giga lucky on that, but those kind of line up. You kind of want to use them together if you can. You don't get one back like super early.
Well, demo came out on top.
Is that they have it? Oh yeah, it should.
So demo came out on top using Life Tap, Shadow Bolt, Metamorphosis, Corruption, Immolate, Glyphs. Obviously, it's got the full damage breakdown of like what it would have done, on average over these 25,000 iterations, with just under 35k. Now that's we're talking. This is tier 12 normal, so it's like 378. So it's just it's just ever so slightly over what would be in heroic base. In tier 11, sorry. Then Destruction was second, which surprised me actually, 33.4k. But you was right, as in Affliction was 32.8. There's literally like 600 DPS in it.
I think one big difference from Simcraft and the WoW C, when a WoW C or WoW Sims get worked out, is you can fine tune a lot of the stuff, like when you're in the rotation section, like when you're popping everything, which is kind of, I guess, brain dead for Destro since there's no like nuances with that.
Yeah,
but that wouldn't shock me. I think it's going to be the same kind of the whole time. Versus, but app still has that execute phase, which is really nice, which obviously can be really helpful, especially progging.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is it's not going to be mega accurate, but I rely on Simcraft quite a lot purely because retail still uses Simcraft. Like, it is the go-to sim. I know a lot of if you raid on retail, you might use raid bots, but raid bots is literally Simcraft with a more friendly UI. So it's pretty good. And it's been pretty good for many years. But that is very close. To say that you could almost play whichever of the 3 specs you just prefer.
Yep. And it's not like it is where you can always say you can play all 3 classes are viable, but the difference is, like, if you try to play Destro or Demonology, well, you needed 1 Demonology, but if you're like a Demonology DPS in Lich King, you were significantly below Affliction. If you're Destro, you were significantly above Affliction. Like, these are all 3 like really good specs to play.
This was patchwork style, people in chat, by the way. Just saying, we're not talking target swapping or anything. Not hardly any movement. Like, it's just standing there nuking a target dummy.
Well, since we're talking about the different specs and when and how to use them, if you're in like a 10-man raid versus a 25, because 25 you'll probably have like 1 Demo, 1 Destro. You could maybe like justify that for sure. Maybe Affliction in there as well, but for like a 10-man, does one bring more to the raid other than the other one? Is it going to depend on what other specs you have?
Demo still brings Demonic Pact, but it was changed, so it just gives 10% spell damage to everybody. But Ellie brings it as well with Totemic Wrath. So if you don't have an elemental shaman, you have to have a Demo lock. But one thing that I like about a Warlock a lot is pretty much every raid's going to have Ellie, because Ellie's like really good, extremely good. So in a setting where you have an Ellie, you're free to play and go to Omnitron or whatever and swap to Affliction, which you would. You normally would. You don't have to. You don't have to swap at all, but there's certain fights where it's going to help for you to be able to know how to play Affliction or whatever spec that you feel like playing when you don't need to play Demo. It's like my favorite thing about Warlock now, actually. You're not hard stuck there. Like if you're a Demon Warlock in Lich King, you just were stuck. You were there as a bot, right? Just to bring Demonic Pact. Now it's like that, but now you're carrying the raid with a buff and your damage and your AoE.
And then the other important like debuff is the 5% spell crit. So there's Fire Mage can bring critical mass, and Destruction brings
all 3 warlocks
Shadow and Flame.
take the talent.
Okay, so it's all of them. Okay.
Yeah, all 3 do, yeah. And it's up
Cool.
it's up pretty much right away, because in a perfect scenario you get the precast, right? Whether that you're precasting Shadow Bolt or Incinerate or whatever your spec is, whatever you decide to do, but you're gonna always have it up pretty much right away.
All right. Moving on. One question, because it's a kind of a time sensitive one for people, is we're less than 2 days now from launch. So is there anything pre-launch that Warlocks should be trying to like take advantage of to get ready for launch? Is there any
Staff?
The staff, yeah. Are there any like leveling trinkets? Because I know in Wrath there was like some trinkets and you're like, yo, this like really helps us.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I just rerolled the Alliance, went to like 2 ICCs, bought whatever cheap gear I could get, and I'm just going like that. I feel like it's less important than it was in Lich King or TBC when you were leveling, because you really will replace that gear. I was in full ICC and I'm replacing my gear at 82, 83. Even worse in the dungeons. You know, I was going to caverns or Blackrock Caverns, and I'm replacing gear that's dropping off the mobs, which is crazy. Like often, like a BOE green dropped in the dungeon. I was like, yeah, I can actually use this. This is crazy. So that one, I'm not sure about that one. Someone else might know that one though.
Well, what about professions? Because this is the perfect time to level up your professions to at least 425. You don't really need to max it to 450, but Warlock professions, are there any 2 that stand out, or maybe like one's kind of like standard and then the other one's kind of flexible?
Tailoring for, I think, a majority of DPSs are going tailoring as it stands for the cloak enchant. And then I'm a firm believer of engineering. I will die on the hill that engineering is amazing and I love it so much.
You're right.
I mean, other than that, like until epic gems come in, and I think I'd probably swing toward. Well, I don't think I'd be able to drop engineering, but if you don't have to be engineering, you can swing towards like blacksmithing, because you get double sockets when you get epic, and it kind of outweighs it more than the other ones for your intellect gains. If you, those that don't know, spell power comes from your intellect, so you're just stacking as much intellect. There's no spell power on anything besides, I think, weapons, right? So you just stacking a bunch of intellect, and I think once the epic gem comes out, it wins out more.
Procs, I think, if you really
yeah.
Somebody who's gonna be like, technically,
actually, but yeah, I think that's the same way. But I personally am going tailoring engineering, but you can't go wrong with the second. I think tailoring is mandatory. The other one you can't go wrong. They're all roughly around the whole 80 intellect benchmark averaging for until epic gems come out, and then I think blacksmithing pulls ahead by like 20 intellect.
Yeah, I'd say, but well, yeah, blacksmithing's better in phase 3. Dual crafting's better in phase 1 and 2.
Yeah,
but I would
kind of. It's for once, professions are very. What's the word? You can just pick one. Like I know you can always just pick one, but they all actually bring, besides like mining and shit like that. But I guess you technically still get stuff out of mining. I mean, it's stamina, and skinning crit, so it's not the best thing in the world. But each of them gives you something that's pretty good, right? So.
Yeah, they're very close, but like you're absolutely right. Like tailoring and engineering, like for DPS, like I would say all DPS, I don't see anything beating them out. Especially with like if you've got everybody with tailoring and engineering, and everybody's getting their cloak proc and they're using their NG gloves, whilst you've got lust up on the pull. That is such a significant raid DPS gain. Rather than looking at the individual gain.
Gloves with your engineering gloves with trinkets.
Bind on equip trinkets, not on use trinkets. But I actually believe that it's not all on use trinkets. So like as a warrior, for example, Fury of Angerforge, you 100% cannot use gloves with Fury of Angerforge. But if you was to be anal enough, I don't know why I pointed at Go when I said that. I have no idea. I just said anal and literally just wanted to point at him. But yeah. If you go through all of the patch notes, they actually added on-use trinkets individually. It weren't like you can't use on-use trinkets with gloves. It's just, it seems like all the good on-use trinkets you can't use with gloves. Because like I noticed that yesterday when I was looking at all these pre-nerf, post-nerf raid changes. I saw that Fury of Angerforge was like specifically added as one that you cannot use with engineering gloves. So yeah, it's a bit weird, and I would be a bit scared to say it can't be used with all on-use trinkets, but certainly not with the ones that you would want to use them with, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think a lot of the trinkets that we plan to use right now, at least, they're not on uses. They're just static ones. Not static ones, but just proc, which is good.
Yeah,
then you
Bell and Volcano, surely.
Yeah. You can use an on-use mastery trinket in your mastery swap when you're going to meta pre-pool, and then you're not going to mind that it puts it on cooldown, right? And then swap your trinkets back off. Then you can synapses tinker for it, right? And also Nitro Boost, which is on a belt now instead of boots, is big. People sleep on this, I think. I know people just think go fast, but if you think about it, you're going from pack to pack in a trash. Maybe you're casting too, so you can be able to boot, or I can't call it boot anymore. You can boost to the next pack right away, which is really good. Boost out of mechanics and stuff like that.
Actually, I just said that because I was in Fire Mage brain for a second, but what are your best trinkets? Is it Volcano and Feralian's Mirror, or Volcano and Bell? Oh, it is Volcano and Bell. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I know some casters it's Feralian's Mirror.
Yeah, there's a lot of trinkets out there that are really, really good. Like, I love it. Usually it feels like in the beginning of an expansion, even previous wise, there's like, you need these 2 trinkets and that's it. But there's really a whole bunch of trinkets that you can use that are really good too.
And it's funny because, it's funny because when you actually sim them, that like we're not talking like thousands of DPS. You know, when you look at the amount of DPS you're going to be doing, and then you sim the difference between your like Bish trinket and second Bish trinket, it's, you know, maybe 50, 60 DPS. You know, like none of them are huge.
It's nothing crazy, yeah. I like that though. I like when it gets out of the, which obviously there's Abyss and you could use it because it's more damage, but I like that you can, if you want, you can get out of that. Like, I have to have this. It's kind of wear what you want, you know? Obviously, there's a proper thing that you can wear, but you're not going to be like hurting.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as
like
bad.
Volcanoes are going to be expensive and you don't have one right away. You're not going to be just like getting dumped on by everybody.
Or when your class isn't prioed and you're in a loot council guild and you have to get the second BIS, it's like, oh, well, it's not that bad.
Yep. Until Dragon's Wrath gets talked about. That's the one where that's going to be some spicy shit right there.
Yep.
Well, speaking of gear, now that the Valor point cap has increased from like a 2K cap that we were going to be able to get to a 3,200 cap, what do you plan on as a Warlock to get from the Valor vendor before you step into raid with your 3,200?
The tier?
Well, it could be tier. It could be like the rings.
I know that's it. Just the tier. That's
you're just
more than anything. Yeah, I want it right away. I think some people are going rings and stuff. I just want the tier offer up.
Can you get 2 set with 3,200? I don't even.
I think you only get 1. If someone can correct if somebody in chat knows. I'm pretty sure it's just 1.
Well, like one's 2. Well, 2 of them are 2.2k and one's 1650.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you could get the 1650 and another piece.
Probably ring.
What are we gonna have? 3.2k, right? Yeah, we're gonna get 2. Two full caps. Yeah, you could get one of the cheaper bits, but you're gonna get better in raid, so it's not worth it. Like Craig said, like you got to go straight for tier. Like just purely because otherwise, when like heroic tier tokens start dropping, if you ain't got any tier to upgrade, what's the fucking point?
And tier chest to be more specific is what I'm gonna go for.
Chest, yeah, because if you buy your legs and your gloves and you do Bared and Hold, and then you get that off the drop, then you're like, well, fuck, there goes my Valor.
I feel like chest and legs usually have the most value stats wise, right?
Oh yeah,
typically out of everything.
Yeah, and that's a good point because then you have got you've got enough to buy a chest or legs, but then it's not until the following week where you're going to be able to do Bared and Hold, and that is going to suck. Like for me, I would rather get the legs as rep. I would rather get the legs, but it would be my luck I get the legs and then they drop in Bared and Hold the next week. So I might have to rethink what I was going to do.
I really like the cloak, dude. The cloak's a previous cloak, right? One of them at least. One of them that you can use is really nice if you can somehow finagle getting both of those. What's the robes? 2,200. There's a trinket that's really good too. I forgot what it's called. Casket or something like that. If you needed a trinket.
Oh, Soul Casket. Soul Casket's banging.
Yeah, it's an on use though. I'm not a big fan of the on uses, but it's still really good. There's a lot of things that you can use right away that'll be helpful. But it depends on how much we get. Like I know I want chest. What is chest? 2,200. Then maybe the ring. If I can afford the cloak, I'd get cloak first.
Yeah. See, the annoying thing for me is. Like I've only just thought about this. Actually, this is why I like doing podcasts because it does. There's things that I don't think about. Like I would have got the legs first, but then when it's like the next week, could potentially get them from Bared and Hold. But the problem is, if I get the chest first, the crafted chest is actually better than the tier chest for me specifically. So it's like I'd be buying the chest, waiting for a heroic token when I could get the legs, and the legs are actually going to be better. But then there is a chance they drop in Barrett in hold. I think I'd still go for the legs. Fuck it.
There's also a really good tailoring legs though. Breaches is a nightmare, so the something mended nightmares or something like that.
Yeah.
I think BOE is going to be absolutely mind-blowingly expensive.
Well, great way to say you love doing the podcast, but not giving me credit for bringing up that topic, Scotty. And
oh yeah, was it you? I thought it was correct.
No. But are there any big like important changes that Warlock goes from like playing in Wrath into Cata? Like your whole soul shard thing kind of changes a little bit, right? Like are you still life?
Soul shard thing is huge. You don't have to farm shards anymore. It's just static 3 that you have, and you can, as soon as combat drops, you can get all 3 back instantly. The only thing that you ever will use soul shards on is your soul burn. You don't have to use soul shards to give hellstones out or summon or anything else anymore, or a pet. Anyway. I brain farted just now.
Oh, you're good. I do that same shit.
What did you say just after the soul shard thing? Oh, drain. I think one thing that people are talking about is life tap. You used to have to life tap for a glyph that gives you spell power, and now it doesn't. Now that glyph just takes a half a second off your global. So it's something where people just mandatory, like I'm gonna life tap when I move to keep my buff up, where you don't really have to do that anymore, which is really nice. 1 second.
No, you're good. You're good. And I know this is a Warlock question, but Scotty, as far as like using what's the thing, soul stones?
Yeah.
So like soul stone counts as the same as like a battle res, right? Like it eats up one of those battle reses.
Mm-hmm.
For that. Yeah, soul stone's a B res now, which is nice.
But it doesn't bring somebody back to like full health, right? Like
no, what is it, like 40?
40 sounds about right.
Yeah, we have a glyph that makes it more than that. In addition, it gives you increases the health by an additional 40 on top of it too, which is nice.
Dot clipping is definitely worth mentioning. I know it's not Warlock specific, but it is like a big one.
What is
dot clipping?
Dot clipping is very big deal. I mean, I guess it's not a huge deal, but it is a big deal. Now you can clip the last second of your last tick pretty much. There's more that goes into it than that, but it's just the way haste is. Haste doesn't shorten your dot anymore; it adds ticks. So there's like certain haste breakpoints you want for each spec that changes. Where like if you have 25% haste, you get 2 ticks of corruption, 2 ticks of 21.4 is 2 ticks of immolate, and it goes all the way up. It keeps going up to where you can get 4 extra ticks, which is obviously way down the road, right? And that helps a lot because it more helps, I feel like, with uptime, because you want 100% uptime on dots, where if you try to get 100% uptime in Lich King, you're probably clipping your last one on accident, or you're getting like 96, 90, and 98%. Now you can just, you for sure will always just have your 100% uptime. But also it's like more that awkward time when you're casting something and you have 2 seconds left of your corruption, but you have a long cast. It's like you can just go ahead and just bop that up and then keep on pumping, which is really nice. Oh, a big change. I think one of the biggest rotational things that happened with Warlock was Shadow Flame.
Shadow Flame's cool.
Crazy amount of damage. Yeah. So Shadow Flame on single target is in your rotation, which makes you play in melee. You're just a melee caster, pretty much. You don't have to. It's not the end all be all. Like if you decide not to do it, and there are some fights where you're not, like maybe you're doing the Magma strat where you're not on top of him, you're further back, so you're not going to be able to run up there and Shadow Flame every 12 seconds or whatever it is. But it is really strong. Not only does it really do good damage, but every dot that gets added to the target makes your Shadow Bite Fellhunter do. I thought it was 50%, but someone corrected me and said the tooltip's been wrong for the past 12 years, pretty much, and it's 30%. And I haven't seen any proof of that, but I believe the guy who said it is like one of our sim guys. Anyway, you use Shadow Flame, it makes your Fellhunter do even more damage on his Shadow Bite. And Shadow Bite, when I tell you, like if I linked, I'll find one right here and show you. I linked what the damage was, our damage breakdown. It's like, it's crazy the difference on damage for how much our Shadow Bite does. Like this right here is our damage breakdown. I think it was like a 2-minute one. I'm not sure.
Hang on, where are you linking it?
To show you in our chat, to show you how much Shadow Bite damage does. Like it's insane damage.
I'm gonna put it on screen, but yeah, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. You just that's like a 5-minute one, I think too.
Wait,
it's just people sleep on it a lot, but it does a lot of damage.
Can't you name your pets now? Did you name your pet bed?
No, I never named him. That's just the default one.
Feed hum.
This is an evil one.
I'll tell you one. Like this is probably a bit of a weird one, but I do want to talk more about PvP throughout these podcasts, and an addition to Warlock that is amazing for PvP, and I've not really heard anyone talk about is Fellflame.
Yeah, Fellflame is ass for PvE, but it's pretty good for PvP. Yeah,
like being able to have something instant that you can destroy totems with is fucking huge.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Fellflame is just an ability you get, I think, at level 81. I don't think it's 80. It might be 80, but 80 or 81, one of them. And it's just an instant cast spell that shoots this like fiery bolt at somebody. Kind of like Ice Lance. Think of Ice Lance. It's like just like Ice Lance, but fire, Fellflame. And it's pretty ass. It's nice when you're moving, like if you're in a raid scenario and you need to move from a mechanic. My logic is you need to move from a mechanic. You don't need to refresh corruption, and you don't need a life tap. Then you're free to Fellflame unless you have like your 4-piece tier 11. Then that happens. That's a proc, right? Like you get what is it? Your dot damage from Immolate has a 2% chance to make your next 2 Fellflames do 300% damage, which I think it's still worth it right now on Sims. But other than that, it's like it's pretty bad talent, pretty bad ability. I mean, and PvE content.
As I say, I've watched a lot of. I'm sad, mate. I've been watching a lot of old, or even on private servers, like 2v2, 3v3, and like any Warlock POV that I've seen, they have literally got a macro where they just spam it, and all it does is try to target totems and press Fellflame.
Best thing ever.
/tar Spirit Link Totem.
Yeah, exactly. It's all it's doing is literally they spam it and it just
cycles through all the totems.
Yeah,
call it a totem stomping macro. You used to be able to do it with pets, but then they changed it. I don't know what word that is. They changed the macro system to where you can't do it with pets anymore. But yeah, it's really good. Really, really good.
So when I think of Warlocks, I think of getting my Lock Rocks. And that changed a little bit. Is percentage health based now? Are there still like 3 tiers of percentages though?
No, there's no ranks anymore. It's just 45% health that you get from it, unless you're talented into it, which I lied to you. There's no way you can talent into it anymore. Yeah, it's just 45% crits. It's nice. Still chunky, just to make sure people have them. One thing that is very different about, I would say new. I know Doomguard's been in the game for a while, but no one, I bet you no one in chat can say when you press the button, right? Everyone's used the Infernal because you would use the Infernal. Now you use Doomguard, which is that same screenshot I sent you with the damage. You can see how much damage a Doomguard does. It's like massive. It's your main cooldown. It's a 10-minute cooldown. I would say main. Like I said, Warlocks have a lot of Demon Warlocks have a lot of cooldowns with meta, Demon Soul, and all that. But this is just another one, a monstrous one. 10-minute cooldown, resets when boss dies or you die, like the Infernal did. The Infernal's more for AOE situations, but I always just use the Doomguard because it's just so much damage. And snapshot. I can't get lusted anymore. It snapshots your stats, but you can't lust it because lust is casting speed. But you just want to use it when you proc all your trinkets, Blood Fury, whatever you're waiting for. Like what it looks for me is we pull the boss. I go through my pre-pull shenanigans. Within the first 10 seconds, my trinket procs. Oh, well, both my trinkets procced. Slamming my cooldowns. I'm letting him out, and he pumps, and then he attacks whoever you have a Bane on. Oh, that's another big change. Is Banes. Curse of Agony and Curse of Dooms are no longer curses; they're Banes. And that pretty much just means that you can have a Bane and a curse on a target, so it allows you to Curse of Elements and be able to Agony and Doom. Whereas usually if you had to Elements, Wreck, God forsake the Wreck button. Back in the day, you'd have to Wreck and you couldn't Agony because you had to put Wreck up or you had to put Elements up, so that's pretty cool.
You had to slash roll to find out who was putting it on.
Yeah, the curse. Well, you don't curse much anyway, but like you will end up cursing. What is it? The Assassination Rogue, Boomy, Unholy DK, and I think that's it. And maybe one more that brings the same Curse of Elements type 8% magical thing, which you could see action with. I think it's really cool that Affliction has a talent called Jinx.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Curse
that
of
is
Elements
absolutely ridiculous.
15 mobs. Yeah, you press it once and it spreads it to 15 people within 40 yards, which is pretty cool. If you ever had to actually press the button, right?
That is
a raid where you don't have a rogue or a DK or Boomy, but yeah.
And Thar, by the way, sorry, yeah, I mean, maybe you can't. As I say, no expert PvP here. I'm going by what I've, been watching, like more historic videos, for arenas, getting myself a bit psyched up to PvP.
Totem stomping from pets, I would imagine they would do the same thing with Fellflame.
Well, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to slash target it, in a macro. But yeah, maybe you can't. Again, I genuinely, I don't know.
You can't do it with totem. You couldn't do it with, like, usually what happens is you have the same exact macro that you use for what you're talking about with Fell Flame, except for you would have pet attack or whatever, and you'd spam it, and the totem comes out, your pet runs to it, hits it, one shots it, comes back to you. And then I don't know when they changed it. Was it with Lich King? Maybe in the middle of Lich King. I don't know when they did, but they changed that to where you can't target them. And so I'm going to assume that you're not going to be able to with Fell Flame, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm going more historic YouTube videos I've been watching recently, so yeah, I don't know.
TBC, okay.
Cool. Well, next go, or are we still on Warlock?
Yeah. Like how much?
There's other changes, but they're not big. Like they're not as big as the ones we talked about. Like usually Molten Core, an example of a talent called Molten Core that used to proc off Corruption, now it procs off Immolate. You know, there's stuff like that changes. You know, Affliction has Soul Swap, which copies if I fully dot on one mob, it's called inhaling and exhaling. You inhale those dots and you exhale it onto another target. So it copy pastes all your dots to another target. And then there's a glyph that makes it so it stays on the previous target as well. So there's like more nuances to each spec. One thing I really like about Destro, which is kind of like a brain dead rotation, but it has a little bit of fun because now that your imp has a 4% chance to cause, every time you heath firebolts, to cause your next soulfire to be instant. So you're kind of like more of a proc class and you're sitting there waiting for like, oh, I got a proc, which is really cool. And on top of that, soulfire boosts your damage by 8% for 20 seconds after you soulfire, which is also really fun because it gives you more, instead of just slamming, keeping Immolate up and slamming Incinerate and using, you know, Chaos Bolt, you actually have like a rotation that you have to pay attention to, which is pretty cool.
So somebody just brought up Demon Gate, but is there still like the teleport?
Yeah,
like,
you have the demonic gateway thing that you see, but if you soul burn before you do it, right, you can get, what is it, 20%, 50% speed? Yeah, it's 50% increased movement speed for 8 seconds. You pretty much will never do this. Your soul shards, I mean, your 3 soul shards will be used on 3 soul burns throughout the fight, and those 3 soul burns will be used on whether pet twisting, and if you don't pet twist, you will soulfire. Because if you soul burn, it makes your next soulfire instant. So you would just rip. I mean, if you don't need to pet twist, you know the fight's only, you know, a minute and a half or 2 minutes long. It means you need to save 1 shard, and then you just rip a macro that soul burn soulfires. That's what I do at least.
All right. Well, when Scotty gets back, I don't know if he wants to go over like talent specs, like trees, like building a whole spec for a level 85. We did it for like even pre-patch for previous classes, but yeah, if we could go through all of those and then even go through the glyphs too as well, like the 3 main important prime, 3 main important major. Maybe there's some that you swap out to give you a better AoE advantage that we've seen in other classes, because like the major glyphs for some classes are like stronger than the prime glyphs. So I'm curious.
Yeah, ours are backwards.
Thing for that.
No, ours are pretty backwards. Our major glyphs are kind of butt cheeks. I mean, the Affliction Soul Swap one's a big deal, but other than that, it's kind of ass. The rest of the glyphs are, our primes are pretty. I feel like our prime glyphs aren't even like that crazy, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, is it like a 5% increase?
Yeah,
to
pretty much 5%
yeah.
on your main thrower, your filler, stuff like that. Buff your dot by 10%. So it's nice, but it's not like game breaking.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can look at specs. Obviously, yeah, pre-patch specs. We won't worry about that. More level 85.
Like what mastery gives as well too, you know.
Yeah,
for each spec.
Yeah, well, can touch on that now.
Demonology. Oh, we can do it. Go on each spec, whatever spec you want to start with.
Up to you. Yeah. Just go over the masteries for each of them.
We can go over Affliction first if you want to just go in order.
Yeah, cool.
Find this little. Affliction is still the same thing that it's always been, where you put up dots and you slam shadow bolts as a filler while you're waiting for the rest of your dots to come up. Your dots, your haunt. It in correlation to Lich King, it's pretty much the exact same. You dots, keep haunt, spam shadow bolts, switch to drain soul, execute. Like nothing really changes. The biggest thing that changes is that you have soul swap now on multi-target fights, where it just copies your dots from one target and goes to another one. It's kind of a shitty talent in my opinion. I mean, it's cool, but it's not like the best. It's not as game breaking as people think it is, right? Messes with your dots, and if you bane a doom something we didn't talk about too is all specs bane they use doom now and not agony. Doom is significantly better than agony, and it changed. So in the past, doom has been a 60-second dot. At the end of the 60 seconds, it does a shit ton of damage. And now it's changed to where it's still it lasts 60 seconds to debuff on the boss, on the target, but every 15 seconds, it does damage. A lot of damage. I think it was like 2 ticks beats an agony type shit. And then every 15 seconds when it deals damage, you have a small, I don't know what the percentage chance is. I can look to see if it says in here. It's what is it, 20% baseline, then you get specced into a demo where it makes it 50%. Yeah, it's 20% baseline. So every 15 seconds, it does damage, and you have a 20% chance to spawn something called an Ebon Imp, which is this tiny ass imp that comes and fights you that does dirt shit damage. Like don't even care. I feel like they did something wrong with how bad a damage it does. Like it's like in a whole fight 0.1% of your damage. Like it's so bad, but it looks cool. Maybe it's just an aesthetic thing.
But if it's a caster imp, it gets lusted.
Yeah. They're ass. They're so bad it's insane.
And then it'll do 0.15.
Yeah, I don't know if it's bugged and they're not. I get that it's not supposed to do crazy damage because it's just like an addition, but it definitely should be doing more damage than what I think it is doing. I don't know if they ever changed that. I'm not going to complain because they're letting us mastery swap and pet twist and stuff, so I'm not going to sit there and bark up a tree about some stupid ass, little imp. But yeah, anyway, your Doom has a chance. It does damage for 15 seconds and spawns it, which is cool. Anyway, Affliction is if you soul swap, that resets your Doom, and then it's like you take one Doom from the other one, and then that other target's left without a Bane on it, and then you have to go back and Bane it. So it's kind of like, it's really annoying, but you'll make it work. The Affliction Mastery it just busts your dots, right? It's called Potent Afflictions. It increases all your dot damage by 13%, and then every point of Mastery gives it 1.6 more damage. Mastery's not the greatest. It's good for demonology, which we'll talk about later, because it buffs your demons and your meta form. But you get very little per point of mastery that's not worth even mastery. You're just slamming haste pretty much with Affliction. But yeah, it busts your dots, which is nice. Like, it can be nice, I guess, but you're kind of one of those things where if you have gear with mastery on it, you're reforging it to haste. Once you're hit capped, obviously haste is pretty nice. Haste is always nice, right? And haste is beautiful. Do you want me to send you a spec, or you want to build it, or
you go over the mastery first. So yeah, go on, like the demonology mastery. Let's do the demonology mastery. Yeah, let's do the masteries, then we'll do the specs.
Yeah, it increases your damage while you're in demon form, which is your meta form, and then while you are, or all your demons by 18% or something, and then every point gives you in meta and your demons 2.3% damage, which is nice. Mastery is much better for demonology than it is for the other specs. Both of the other specs, like I mentioned earlier, you have a whole mastery pre-swap shenanigan thing that you're going to be doing where you stack a bunch of mastery on one set of gear, put it on, and then meta, and then swap your gear off. Because when you swap your gear off, your meta keeps we already talked about it, but all your mastery is kept while you're in meta form. And that's the whole mastery pre-swap stuff. For destruction, it just increases how much fire damage you deal. Pretty simple, by 10%, and then each point gives you 1.3, which is roughly the same as the Affliction one. So it's not that you're not going to stack mastery for Destro either, right?
So before we get into the specs, like what in your opinion is the most fun? Like, forget the output, just like purely, what would you say is the most fun spec out of the free to play? Or does it vary on like different types of boss fights?
Demonology is the most fun spec, either besides current retail demonology. I've never played MOP, so I know everybody says MOP demonology is amazing, but I think demonology is by far the most fun. Rotational wise, the pre-swapping, I love the pre-swapping thing, the pet twisting, the paying attention, even going, not even just a standalone fight, but if you're in Firelands and you know how there's like the big giants and then the scorpions, and then you got to get out because they blow up, and there's other mobs here, like you have the freedom to, okay, I'm sending my Felguard in, he fell storms, which is like Blade Storm, it's huge, it does a shit ton of damage, but now we're fighting that big ass giant next, I can soul burn, pull my Fel Hunter out, let him go in because he does so much damage. I like the nuances that comes with being a demonology warlock, where you don't have Felguard as the other two specs, right? Because it is only for demonology, so you don't have that power for it. It's just more fun to me too. The demon's fun. Even things like Demon Leap that got changed from Demon Charge. Demon Leap does good damage. You can run in there and do it. It also doesn't affect me that much. Like my brain when I'm a Destruction warlock trying to sit in melee, or even Affliction warlock trying to sit in melee and Shadow Flame, like I'm gonna do it. But as a Demo warlock, I'm used to kind of wanting to be in melee anyway because of my meta or timing it with my meta. So I just personally like Demo way better. Even outside, like you turn into a fucking demon. Like, come on. Like it looks cooler. The rotation is better in my opinion. It's more fluent. I mean, it's kind of annoying, I guess, to some people, but I like it a lot. You're looking for procs. Like you have a proc base with Molten Cores. You have your execute with Decimation. You have some good RNG. You have an Impending Doom, which is a chance. What is the chance? I think it's a 50% chance whenever you Shadow Bolt, Soulfire, Incinerate, or Hand of Gul'dan to reduce the cooldown of your meta by 15 seconds, which is, I've seen, I think it was in a Warlock Discord, someone had, it's off a 3-minute cooldown, they had meta back in 40 seconds, which is absolute superb RNG. Crazy. Which is really nice. Yeah. And then Hand of Gul'dan, we didn't mention, I guess we can talk about with Demonology. That's another new spell with Demonology where it just summons this big ass meteor, hits the ground, puts a purple circle around, and then does a dirt ball. It doesn't do that much damage, but it increases your pet's crit by 10% if they're inside that, right? And there's another talent which you don't take for raiding, but I take for dungeon cleaving, where if you keep the enemies in that circle for 6 seconds, it stuns them. So it's like, you're not gonna do that in a raid really, like that's not gonna help a boss, but it's just random little cool things. And then also Hellfire, each spec, which is really cool. They have their own AoE where your Seed of Corruption has Affliction, Demonology's Hellfire, and Destruction's Rain of Fire. But the thing about it is Demonology has a talent called Inferno that lets you move while you're Hellfiring. Jump, move, all that stuff. So you don't have to sit there and, plant and Hellfire, get stunned, get knocked in the air or whatever like that, and it cancels your shit. You get knocked in the air, you're still Hellfiring. So it's really cool when you're running or a speedrun scenario or kind of dungeon cleaving, because like you're pulling mobs, I'm Hellfiring and I'm still running and AoEing, whereas Affliction I got to stop and do Seed of Corruption. Although I will say Affliction does have Soul Burn Seed of Corruption, only Affliction does, and it's when Seed blows up it puts Corruption on all the mobs. Pretty simple, but it's really cool. It's a nice way to get Corruption on everything. Yeah, I don't know, Gmo's just a lot of fun to me. It's the whole class in general is. They also have more you have 20 seconds longer on your Doom Guard as well because of a talent, which is cool. So instead of the 45 seconds or whatever, it's out there for a minute 5.
Dude, Boom can always get shit fucking last, but like everybody else gets to have all these cool shits, and then finally it feeds down into us. Like what Shaman can now also move all casting, mages can move all casting, warlocks can move all casting. Yeah,
well, just our Hellfire really though, right?
Yeah, but Boomkin, we got to fucking sit there and like hard cast our Hurricane. Like, no, it's bullshit.
Yeah, but you could Moonfire.
Oh, I can single target Moonfire. Hell yeah! Never mind,
you can run along dropping mushrooms and then blow them up, and they do ridiculous damage.
Are you the only caster that can't cast something while moving?
Yeah, we can't cast shit while we move. I mean, like
Ellie can
make could be casted, and then
I mean, Shadow Priest can't.
True. Well, they don't want to stop moving though, right? They're trying to wiggle the whole time. That's their whole job, right?
All right, let's do. I think we should do a demo spec. Like we haven't got to go. We haven't got to go for all 3 specs, but like let's make a demo spec, and then if you want to just pick out key talents in the other 2 trees afterwards, then we can.
Well, but before we do, this isn't a segue, Scott. I kind of wanted to play it off like it was going to be a segue, but while I was peeing, I was like, didn't Blizzard say that we weren't going to have to fill out our talent trees to move into like another spec? And that hasn't been addressed at all since that announcement.
No, I never remember that being said, and you've said it multiple times on multiple podcasts, and I never remember it being said.
They said that we wouldn't have to spend like 31 points in one talent tree to unlock the next talent tree.
Oh, I don't recall that either.
No, okay. I never remember it being said.
I like the 31. I like that you have to like class identification. You have to buckle down and go straight down,
I'm going to look into that after the show, but
it may have been said.
The past 2 months.
I mean, they did say something along the lines of not reducing the talent trees. I think that was actually in Ebonheart's interview. It was Chris Zierhurt talking about it, and it felt too overwhelming. If you want, like extending the talent tree rather than reducing it down, or something along those lines. He was talking about. Mm-hmm. And then he went off on a tangent and randomly started talking about talents. But no, I don't remember him ever saying that. We've spoke about it. We've spoke about like what would it look like if you didn't have to go 31 points deep. And I've always said I wouldn't trust Blizzard to try and balance it. I've always said the same thing.
It was probably like BlizzCon, like some sort of announcement.
You was pissed at BlizzCon constantly. How the fuck would you know what was said?
I was fucking dreaming. I was like, oh man, if I could go halfway into the feral, halfway into the Boomkin tree, oh, I'd be sick.
He was at the and while he was thinking about that, Crix, he was in the Overwatch bloody announcement thing. Like he weren't even the WoW one he was in. He was in Overwatch. Like 31 talent points. That sounds good. Ooh. Yeah. Oh. Right, come on, Crix, bang it out. What are we going for demonology? So we're talking level 85. Does it change? Like, the thing I find not quite boring about the talents, but, like, there is a lot of fixation around the talents between, like Cata and Mop, for example, like where you do go down to, a choice of 3 every 15 levels. But I actually feel like the Cata talents are better when you look at them. But I also don't feel like there's that much interchangeability between them. Well, not for the specs I play. It's like, well, I'm going to take these talents and never respec.
With Demo, they're the only thing that's interchangeable really is you have 2 versions of Demo to play where you have pretty much the only difference is you would fill with Shadow Bolt versus filling with Incinerate. And because of that, there's the 3 points that you put in a different talent, and that's it. And that's like usually the Incinerate build has a little bit more single target. Shadow Bolt build has a little bit more multi target.
Okay.
My Sims Incinerate is still beating Shadow Bolt by a little bit. I know people are talking, but I've seen people in the Discord talking about Shadow Bolt winning single target, but I don't know what they're doing to make that work because I cannot get that to work. But yeah, anyway, demo is the same. You can either go Shadow, you choose which one you want to do. Some people like the Shadow Bolt. I like the Shadow Bolt one more. I use the Incinerate one because it is more, but I like the Shadow Bolt one more because outside of putting your dots up and all this, whatever you're doing with hand gold dance and stuff, you're just spamming Incinerate, right? Where if you're running the Shadow Bolt build, you're doing the same thing, but you're spamming Shadow Bolt, but then you have to stop and watch your Molten Core procs and then switch over to Incinerate, which is more fun to me because it's like one more step that I need to do in my rotation.
Mm-hmm. So what is the difference between, I mean, I know the difference between Shadow Bolt and Incinerate, but what is the difference that makes Shadow Bolt better for AoE?
There's a glyph of corruption, which makes it like Nightfall, where it gives you a proc chance. Your corruption has a 4% chance to give you an instant cast Shadow Bolt. So
okay. So the more targets you got it on, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, talent wise, what we
know. There is like the main sim guy, and he's saying Shadow Bolt is beating Incinerate significantly on single target.
How much is significant? Like that like when we say significantly, how much is significantly?
Yeah, because the sims are like, what is Warlock simming at? Like in full bis for tier 11.
Tier 11, like 32, 32 and a half, almost 33 without. There's no mastery swaps in the sims though.
Yeah. But like 32k, so like a significant increase is like you're going from 30k to 32k, like a 2k DPS difference, or is it like?
Well, that would be significant, but significant's going to be like 100.
I would not believe anybody who says yeah. I wouldn't believe anybody who says it's like that.
If it's like 3 to 5.
Mastery swaps were in now too. Hell yeah. Mastery swaps were in as of yesterday. You said.
Oh shit.
That's dope.
But right, let's do the spec. Anyway, like yeah. So we'll go. What you're gonna play? So you're gonna play Shadow Bolt, right? You're gonna go Shadow Bolt.
Well, Shadow Bolt beats it. I play whatever the best version of whatever it is to play, even if it's like I don't like the rotation, but I do like the rotation, so I am glad that it's Shadow Bolt. You're taking everything in the entire demonology tree except for demonic empowerment on the third row, improved health funnel, which is right next to it, and then you're not taking an aura foreboding, which is under that. And then I have 1 point in fell synergy. Other than that, you're taking everything from the demonology tree.
Right. Sorry. What are we not? What are we not taking? A little bit slower.
Third row. Well, start with the first tier.
I sent you it on Discord too if you want to read it.
Third row, we're not taking.
We can go count by talent if you want. However you guys do this, we can whatever you want to do.
Have you sent me?
No. So 3 out of 3 demonic embrace.
So demonic embrace, you're taking 3 of 3. It just gives you stamina. Like a lot of these talents, you want to take and you have to anyway because you got to get further on the tree. Like the demonic embrace is stamina. Obviously, good to have stamina. Why not? Dark arts is big because it gives you 15% damage on your shadow bite. This talent is a new talent to Lich King. I mean, not Lich King, but Cata. It's brand new. Fell synergy. I only put 1 point in there, and that's just to get some healing on your pet, just in case your healers aren't doing it or whatever. It just kind of helps keep your pet alive because it gives you a 50% chance to heal. For 15% of all damage that you deal. I like that. Shadow Bolt versus Incinerate are about 500 DPS difference right now in full bis.
Yeah, I'd say 500 DPS is significant.
That's good.
I'd say that's significant.
Yeah. Everything in the second row you're taking. This is just like Demonic Rebirth is a new talent that makes it so whenever your pet dies, as long as you do it within 10 seconds, you have an instant cast pet out. When you'll notice when your pet dies, your action bars like sparkle wherever your summoned demons are, which is really cool. It's very helpful. That mixed with the talent on the far right, which is Master Summoner, which does the same thing, reduces the casting time when you're summoning. It's really nice. It doesn't feel bad to hard cast, even if you have to, but you have a lot of ways to get, if your pet dies, you get a free one out right away. You have Soul Burn to get another pet out, which is really nice too. Mana Feed is just the same thing where when you life tap, your pet gets mana too. So that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Demonic Aegis just increases the amount of your health return from your fell armor. Whereas that used to give you more spell damage, it doesn't do that anymore. But the whole row, you're just taking that to go down more. Impending Doom is in the third one, which is really nice. This increases the chance that your Bane of Doom summons that Ebon Imp I was talking about by 30%, and also grants your Shadow Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan, Soulfire, and Incinerate a 15% chance to reduce the cooldown of your meta. That was what I was talking about earlier when I said someone got giga lucky in the Warlock Discord and he had meta'd, and then 40 seconds later was able to meta. Apparently, the meta cooldown starts right when you meta, not at the end of it. So you can get really lucky with this talent. You're not taking demonic empowerment because it doesn't do anything for you anymore. And Lich King, it was really good. I don't remember what it did. You just baked it into all your macros for your Felguard. Now it doesn't do anything. It just, when you have your Felguard out, it removes all stun, snare, and fear from the pet, which is stupid. Like you don't need this. You just don't take the talent. I see a lot of people taking it, but where people are taking this and not taking Fel Synergy, I'd rather not take this and put 1 point in Fel Synergy. Pretty minor either way though.
Yeah, I mean, there's no PVE benefit there at all, is there?
Yeah, exactly. And then improve health funnel. You're never gonna health funnel. You just leave it alone. I don't think I've ever health funneled in Cata ever in my entire life. Molten Core is the next one on the fourth one. This gives you a 6% chance to gain the Molten Core effect. The Molten Core effect empowers your next 3 incinerates that you use within 15 seconds and increases their damage by 18%, and the cast time is reduced by 18%. This is a massive talent. This is so good that even when you're in execute, as of right now, unless something changed, apparently things change all the goddamn time in these sims. Unless something changed the past couple of days, even during execute, you're still going to make sure you use these procs. It's just very strong talent. You want it.
Okay.
Mandible Dan is the new ability I was talking about that summons the meteor on the ground, leaves a purple circle there. You need it. This is really nice because you have a talent down here that we'll talk about in a little bit that whenever you Mandible Dan, it automatically refreshes your immolate. So you pretty much are putting immolate up once at the start of the fight and never have to worry about it again, unless of course it drops or you're not hit capped and your hand misses or swapping targets or whatever. The talent next to it, Aura Foreboding, is, I wouldn't say worthless in PvE. I like it for dungeon cleaving. Like, this is my dungeon cleave. I take it. Whenever your hand slams on the ground, it roots everything in the area for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, if everything is in that aura, that purple circle, for 6 seconds, it stuns them. So this is just nice when you're gathering mobs. No use on a boss whatsoever. You could probably get some use out of this in some raid scenarios down the road, but I use this for only for dungeon cleaving.
And amazing for PvP if you was to PvP as demo, which
would be wild.
Yeah.
But it'd be wild, I think. If you do want to take Aura Foreboding, I would just take that 1 point out of Fel Synergy and put it into Foreboding. You won't, even without Fel Synergy, your pet shouldn't die much, but it's so nice. Remember, every spec uses Soul Link now. It's just a baseline spell. So your pets do kind of take a little bit of damage, but not much. Under Handle Gul'dan is Inferno. This is the one that enables you and allows you to channel Hellfire while moving. It also increases the duration of your immolate by 6, which is really nice. 6 seconds, sorry.
So what is your not rotation, but you know what I mean? What is your sort of priority in terms of AoE? Is it literally just Inferno, a Hellfire?
If you have your cooldowns, I send my pet in, I Handle Gul'dan once, then I Fellstorm him, and then I'm popping all my cooldowns. Meta, running in there, Demon Leaping, whatever, getting close to melee range, Emo Aura, Shadow Flame, all the usual stuff you would do in meta form, and then I slam Hellfires until... Usually what happens is you Hellfire and you can get almost to a whole tick before you need to Handle Gul'dan again, which is really nice because your Felguard is cleaving and Fellstorm, which can crit because it gives them 10% crit. And then you'll have to Shadow Flame immediately after that, and then you go back into Hellfire until things are dead.
Okay.
And then you have Infernal if you want to use Infernal as well, I guess, on AoE. I personally don't literally ever use Infernal. I always use Doomguard. They share the cooldown, which is a 10-minute cooldown. It's a long-ass cooldown. Nothing shortens it. To the left is the Ancient Grimoire, which gives you 20 more seconds of Infernal or Doomguard time, which is really nice. As you saw from that screenshot, Doomguards do a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Far right is Decimation. This is the same thing it was in Lich King, where you Shadow Bolt, Incinerate, or Soulfire a target below 25%. It used to be 35%, now it's 25%. But the cast time of your next Soulfire is reduced by 40%. This is just, you do your normal rotation. When the boss hits 25% or below, you just start slamming Soulfires until you get Molten Core procs. Then use your 3 Incinerates and go back to slamming Decimations. This is nice because this is the same thing as it was in Lich King, where you're trying to snipe ads. Say you have a boss has 2 ads. One ad's about to die below 25%. You'd swap to him, throw an Incinerator or Shadow Bolt, whatever spec you're running, procs your Decimation, slam into the boss,
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, under that is Demonic Pact, which is the same. It got changed from Lich King. Increases your spell damage now, which is nice, but only by a little bit. But also, Demonic Pact used to be different. Now it's just 10% flat spell power to everybody, instead of like how much spell power the Warlock has and all that. Your pet goes in there. You don't have to worry about your pet critting or nothing like that. It just gives everybody in your raid 10%. Cremation increases the damage done of your Hellfire by 30%, which is why Hellfire does so much damage. And this is what makes your Handle Gul'dan refresh your Immolate on the target. And then meta is nothing changed with meta. Demon Charge is now Demon Leap. Is that it? I think it's all the meta stuff.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting something.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean,
And
with
then
Demonic
builds
Pact, do you feel like as a demo lock that now on the base, like Ellie Shaman brings so much, you know, like if you're talking like 25 man less important, but like in a 10-man group, even 10-man ICC heroic, you know, let's talk very early days of ICC, you know, like you wouldn't even want to go to there without a demo lock. Whereas now, when you look at the amount of stuff that an Ellie Shaman brings, you know, as in like haste, crit, spell power, lust, like it brings so much. How do you think that's going to affect demo locks raid spots? And I'd say more specifically in 10 than 25.
Demo lock smacks an Ellie Shaman on single target, on AoE, on everything. You would still bring a demo lock.
But then you have got to cover raid buffs from somewhere else,
don't you? Only because of Demonic Pact. You're bringing them because of how much damage they do. If you're saying like you're doing a 10-man and you have to choose between an Ellie Shaman or Demo Lock, then yeah, the Ellie Shaman brings more if you need those other buffs, yeah. But like you're always gonna want a Warlock in your raid. Cookies, summons, you know, whatever else. Soulstone. I guess B-Reses can come from multiple ways now, but yeah. But if you had like a 10-man and you had to choose between a Warlock or a Ellie Shaman, and you need the other buffs the Ellie Shaman brings, then yeah, you bring an Ellie Shaman.
Yeah, no, I've been looking at lots of 10-man comps over the last couple of days. Well, while we've been doing the beta testing in particular, and it's like it's so difficult to take. I mean, you could take an Ellie Shaman and a demo lock, like you say, if you're taking a demo lock for their damage. Yeah. But like the Ellie Shaman brings just ludicrous amounts, and then when you've got like such a limited amount of players, it is difficult sometimes to get both in.
Oh, I think at that point you bring at the end of the day when you're raiding, you bring what buffs you need to bring, right? Unless it's like, you know, especially if you're progging or heroic, because heroics are gonna be kind of rough at first, right? You just bring whatever you need. Bring the player. If the player's good. If you're Ellie Shaman, it's ass, and you're a Demo Warlocks, you got a full mastery swapping, pet twisting, Chad Demo Lock. Fuck that Shaman, bro. To be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But if your Warlock's ass and your Ellie's good, and I mean, you go hand in hand there, you know.
Well, the Ellie Shaman was Majay, so I mean, I'd have took the Warlock, but the Warlock didn't turn up, so.
yeah, Shamans are great, but that'd be a shitty dilemma to bring in, but at the same time, you know, I feel like both of those classes are going to be high proud in any raid comp. Maybe pugging, GDKPs, guilds will be looking for them. They're just good classes to have, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it now so we've got obviously a few points in affliction, and then in destruction. But the 3 points in affliction is only there because that's the incinerate spec. I sent you the incinerate spec. You would take those 3 points out and you would put them into the destruction tree under Bane. Okay,
which is the first tier.
Yeah, okay. That was what I was about to ask, because I was looking at that spec thinking, well, what is making this a shadow bolt spec? You know what I mean?
Yeah, usually you would, if you're running the incinerate build, you don't need Bane, because Bane just reduces the cooldown of your shadow bolt, which you don't use because you're incinerating. Chaos bolt, which you don't use because it's Destro. Immolate, which doesn't matter because you're only putting one Immolate up, and you're never putting an Immolate up again because of the hand cooldown. So you'd put those 3 points into corruption, because all 3 specs still corruption. It does all right damage. So, and that gives it 12% damage on it. You can also make an argument. People make an argument for not using Ember Storm, the 2 on the bottom, to put them in corruption, but I like Ember Storm still.
Last time a Soulfire, yeah. What does that take your Soulfire down during decimation? What cast time is your Soulfire?
3.1, something like that.
And I'm assuming it hits like a fucking truck.
You're not just you're not just casting it in your rotation. You're only using it for decimation procs, like when in execute range.
Yeah.
So it's that cast time is then further reduced by 40%.
Yeah, so that's what I meant. Yeah, during decimation, what is the cast time? Is it like?
Whatever 3 seconds is minus 40%.
So it is literally, yeah, okay.
Shit, like 1.5 or something.
Yeah, that's mental.
Pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're just that's like the general, if you're demo and you're running it, which it looks like the guy in chat talking about the Sims, I trust him more than like everybody. So that's what I'd run. And then you have to swap a glyph around too, just because you're running the different build too. The one I sent you was for a different one.
Okay, so what glyphs? Yeah, what glyphs would we use? Yeah, let's go for that. So
glyph of incinerate you're not using anymore. You would just put glyph of corruption up there.
Okay.
And then you're going to want to have glyph of immolate and glyph of metamorphosis. And the reason you want glyph of immolate is this increases the dot portion of your immolate by an additional 10%, making your hardest hitting dot do even more damage. And then glyph of metamorphosis, obviously this increases the duration of your metamorphosis by an additional 6 seconds, allowing you to stay in your demon meta form longer and to get an additional use of immolation aura.
Yeah, are you reading my thing, bro?
Oh shit!
Are you reading my icy veins? That sounds like my
bro, shout out icy veins, man! Like hell yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like me. Yeah, but also with meta is it gives you a little bit of extra use of immol aura, but also meta gives you 20% more damage when you're in meta, right? So you get 6 seconds of 20% more damage, which is nice.
What? So are they set in stone? Like these 3 glyphs do not change on any fight by fight basis.
Nope. The only thing I would change is corruption for incinerate if you're running the incinerate build. Some people like to use. This is more like a dungeon cleaving thing where they would not use glyph of immolate and instead they would use Felguard, glyph of Felguard, because it increases the damage of your Felguard's cleave, his Legion Strike, by 5%. Not a huge one, like if you're dungeon cleaving and you're mass pulling, a quarter of the dungeon or whatever, then you don't care about immolate because you're not using it. You're just going to run in there and do your stuff. So it's kind of nice to have that, but that's kind of a a subjective thing if you want to do that.
And major glyphs, major glyphs are the ones that for the classes I play. They're the ones that change more than prime glyphs.
Oh yeah, no, ours are ass. Glyph of life tap, it reduces the global cooldown by 1/2 second, so it's just your quick life taps. Glyph of soulstone makes it so they spawn or they res with 40% more health, which is not that big of a deal. And then the middle one says glyph of soul link, but you would swap that to glyph of shadow bolt if you're running a shadow bolt build, which reduces the mana cost of your shadow bolt by 15%.
I'll push back on that glyph of soulstone. I've seen multiple people get like battle res, combat res, however, on the beta raids and just immediately die again. And that happens constantly in Wrath. So getting that extra 40% health,
it's actually better to have a warlock do the battle resing if you can too. And if you're just and then Glyph of Soul Link is an honorable mention. It's just nice because everybody has Soul Link and it's just additional. It adds 5% more damage share to your pet. Soul Link makes it so when you take damage, your pet takes a certain portion of it. So it adds 5. So I do like that one as well.
Yeah,
that's what you normally would run if you're running the incinerate build instead of the shadow bolt build. And your minor glyphs literally do not matter. They're ass. It does. Glyph of health funnel doesn't matter. You're never health. They're so bad that I don't even know it just doesn't matter.
Just remove them. Don't use minor glyphs.
Yeah, like you could not run them and you would not tell at all.
But
maybe
what
on your ritual souls by 70%? But I mean, like that's not. It's crazy.
What Go said, I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like it's quite a relevant one. There's some people where this Glyph of Soulstone could increase the health they come back with by 60%, and they'd still die instantly because they go and they just go, "Oh, I've been res, quick!" Accept that and start pumping again. It's like you accepted half a second, half a second before Infest is going out, and then you died again and complained about it. Are you fucking joking?
Yep. Yeah, there's you could run these glyphs the entire expansion with and maybe pick up Incinerate just in case the Incinerate one ends up better down the road, or maybe you like the gameplay more. And then Glyph of Soul Link, you could just run this entire expansion, no changing if you're playing Demo.
I mean, even that's good, but I don't like it.
You use a lot of these same glyphs.
Is that wrong that I don't like that? I don't like the fact that you're just because I'm the same on Rep where it's well, this is my spec. I'm literally never changing it. I've got a PvP ret spec and a PvE ret spec. There's it's not for this fight I should for example. When it was, at the start of Wrath, or maybe more so in Ulduar, you had your Rep Paladins bringing DSAC. And it was then when it got to a point where you didn't need it anymore, you could get rid of it. The specs for Rep don't change, but the glyphs, you can literally change. If you really wanted to nitpick, you could change your glyphs almost every fight.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't change. This is it. Cookie cutter. Unless you're swapping to the Incinerate build, this is what you're running the entire time. And Incinerate build is just 3 talents and a glyph.
Man, yeah, that bugs me. I like a little bit of I need to make sure I use this on this fight. I need, yeah.
I wish it was a little more impactful. The glyph of meta is pretty impactful. 6 seconds of 20% more damage, which is really nice. But like, I kind of wish there was a little more impactful glyphs.
Well, it's like you look at some other classes and other specs, and they've got like major glyphs that give. Well, I mean, Go's one. I mean, Go, you've got a major glyph that actually increases damage.
Glyph of Starfall, glyph of Focus. Yeah, both of them. Like pretty big. And
then other classes are like, my glyphs are so shit. These are the ones I'm using. I'll use them from from phase 1 till mop pre-patch. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't mind not switching glyphs. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the gems and the enchants. It looks pretty standard. The same thing for like any other caster, but like for like meta gems, it's now burning Shadow Spirit Diamond instead of like chaotic. So
they do the same thing.
Yeah. You're looking for intellect and the increased crit, like the 3% increased crit instead of like crit and then increased crit. So something there, and it only requires 3 red gems, which every caster wants.
And that's one thing that's a little bit different that I think people will get used to is you're not really trying to hit a lot of your socket bonuses because you just want as much int as possible. And you having a 40 int gem is better than you having to put in a haste gem and get 20 crit or whatever is in your socket. So you'll see a lot of the time that the warlocks will just have all. I would imagine the other casters too, but I don't know. They're just stacking as much int as possible, so they use the 40 int.
Pretty much. Were you gonna lead us on somewhere, Scotty, or because the next thing I had was like the tier set bonuses to talk about.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
tier 11.
Yeah. Just crack on. Yeah, if you want to carry on talking about warlock, I actually wanted to talk about a bit of the raid stuff. To be fair.
Yeah. If we can just smash.
You can keep the set bonus short. Ready? Two piece reduces the cast time of your handle go down by 10%, and your haunt and your chaos bolt, 1 for each spec. Kind of nice. Not a big deal, but whatever. And then the 4 set is your ticks of immolate, and UA has a 2% chance that costs your next 2 fell flames to do 300% damage.
Oh yeah, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, the 2 piece doesn't matter at all. It's passive. The 4 piece, you see your proc light up on your weak aura that you're using. You just slam 2 fell flames. And Fell Flame also extends the duration of your UA and immolate as well. We didn't mention that earlier, but yeah.
So like important to get the 4 piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty nice. The pieces are good too. I don't think it's the best 4 piece in the world by any means. I kind of think it's kind of shite, but what can you do?
All right, and then Firelands comes out. We get our tier 12. And the Bell Spiders Burning Vestments. Ooh, like nice set bonus name, like set name, I guess. Bell Spider. That sounds cool.
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah. I hear you.
So I'm laughing at Go. I don't know why.
What?
I don't know. You sounded like it was fucking. You was like a 12-year-old at Christmas.
Bell Spider.
Bell
like,
Spider.
Shadow Flame Regalia. Oh yeah, cool. Fucking Shadow Flame. We reused that name. No, Bale Spider is just fucking. It's a new thing. Is that one of the bosses? And there is a spider boss in Firelands, right?
There is. Yeah. Bethelak.
Is it called Bale? Oh, Bethelak. Yeah.
Bethelak. Yeah.
I got my Bell Spider's burning vestments from Belfalak. Finally, hell yeah.
Oh god, that is Bethelak, isn't it? Someone's gonna go, well, you've butchered that pronunciation. Because you always, all of you always do. You're twats in comments. I say one thing slightly wrong. I can do a 4-hour podcast and I'll say one thing or mispronounce one thing.
Let's clear this one up. Crix, how do you pronounce the major town in Tenaris? What's the name of it?
Gadgetson?
Thanks, Crix. I've always loved you, man.
Say it one more time. One more time.
Gadgetson?
Gadgetson?
No, he said Gadgetson.
Gadget.
A gadget.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Was he trying to put it?
Yeah, he
was trying to finesse it.
Yeah, because what he says Gadgetzan.
Oh wow.
Gadgetzan.
No, but the Bale Spider's burning vestments.
Yeah.
What
I don't know how good the 2-set's going to be. Your dots has a chance to summon a fiery imp for 15 seconds. I don't know how good. No, we don't know how good that's going to be on the Blizzard server. Hopefully better than the damn Ebon imp. And then 4-set makes your pretty much your Shadow Bolt, Incinerate, Soulfire, and Drain Soul give you has a 5% chance to increase your damage by 20%, which is nice. Really good 4-piece. I like it.
Does it look like you're gonna just swap 4-piece for 4-piece, or are you gonna try to mix 2-piece at all?
Oh yeah. I'm going 4-piece. I want the 2-piece. Well, I guess we have to wait to see how good the imp is. We really don't know.
Yeah. All right, then what the tier 13? I don't have that one up here, but
Faceless Shroud.
It's gonna be bonkers because everyone's tier 13 is bonkers.
The 2-piece is what is it? The duration of your Doom Guard is increased by 20 seconds.
30 seconds.
Oh, it's 30. Did it change from 30 to 20?
I'm seeing 30.
And the cooldown is reduced by 4, which is great.
Yeah.
1 second.
And what's the 4 set?
4 minutes. Yeah. So 4 set Soul Burn grants a 10% increase to your spell power for 10 seconds. And Soul Fire cast with Soul Burn active now grants a Soul Shard.
Hang on, what? What was that last bit?
Soul Burn grants a 10% increase to your spell power for 10 seconds. And Soul Fire cast with Soul Burn active now grants a Soul Shard.
Oh, so when you do an Eastern one, you get it back.
Spell power.
Yeah, percentage-based spell power is always huge.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hang on,
at tier 13 is kind of wild though.
Yeah, but so you instant cast Soulfire, and then you get a Soul Shard back from the Soul Shard that you spent on Soulfire. So it's an instant Soulfire every 30 seconds. Is it a 30-second cooldown?
Yeah, but the thing is, as demo, you're usually, unless the fight's short, you're using Soul Burn to pet twist, right? But you know that you have 3 shards, 6 minutes. As long as your fight's shorter than that, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of using instant cast Soulfires if I know I don't need a pet twist.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, I've not looked at a single tier 13 set where I've gone, wow, that sounds shit. Like every one of them sounds fucking insane. To be honest with you,
really good. That 2 set is crazy. That 2 set is actually crazy.
All right, cool. Should we move on to the main topic? Like that's why I've been trying to rush us along because it's like I'm really enjoying talking about Warlock purely because it's not a class I'm particularly adept in, but at the same time, like I want to talk about the raids.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to get onto them. I thought the second testing was going to be on the weekend, and I didn't realize it was during this week, so I didn't get to do either of the raid tests, which it sucked for me. Like I like having that little bit of like advanced prep. So I'm not getting to do the raids and see the basic mechanics at all this time around. I feel like I'm behind, and I don't like that feeling. So I'm gonna have to like watch YouTube videos to try to prepare myself for the mechanics, so I don't walk in there week 1 of the raids and like fail mechanics, because I don't even know if I'm gonna get DBM. I said this, but if our 10-man group is gonna be like really serious, I might need to at least get DBM again for the first couple of lockouts. But it's been really nice and like freeing to not have any add-ons in the pre-patch for like Ice Crown. But I've also had,
but they've also got fuck all mechanics.
The raids, well, yeah, and I've also done those raids for multiple weeks with DBM, so I kind of have that internal clock. Like, okay, yeah, like Shadow Trap's coming out every 20 seconds. I know I'm gonna need to move my feet. I need to watch. So I feel
I've got to be honest with you.
I need to get DBM.
There's fucking zero chance of you raiding with me unless you're using some form of timer. I just want to put that there now.
You challenged me now, dude.
The thing is, can you do it? Yes, but there's so many mechanics that you need to preemptively know they're coming in. It's not like there's a
like what the ads do, for instance.
Mobs
that come up, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You need to a prime example is Blackout. You know, Blackout is on a predictable timer on Valiona and Feralion, and you don't want to be waiting until someone gets Blackout and then you all stack. You know, you're all moving in together like 1 second before it comes in. Dispel, spread.
I'll see everybody moving. No, I'll be like, oh, okay, everybody's fucking moving. I need to move too. Like somebody's running.
Yeah, but then you're waiting. But then
in an alleyway.
But then you're waiting for other people to move. Like, I understand. Like 100%.
Speed is It's insane how fast I can move, dude. Have you seen Boomkins fucking move, dude?
I'm not saying you can't raid without DBM. Like I'm not saying that, but like honestly, if you was to try and compare ICC, yeah, no, it goes very anti-weak auras. The thing is, Go don't fuck up on mechanics. Like that, you know, I'll give him that. So you know that's
fuck
fine.
Up once and
I'll fuck up with weak auras, so I'm not using weak auras. That's for sure. I'll fuck up you. I will be pumping and it'll be screaming at me to move, and my ass won't see it.
Well, the thing is, I've done the beta raids with DBM, and I've done the beta raids with Murphins. Weak auras, not Foges. We all use the same, so we just all use Murphins. And I don't really see the difference between the two. Like, but I am very confident with the Cata raids. You know, as in, like I'm as confident with the Cata raids as Go probably is with ICC. You know, where like I know what each mechanic does
when you're in there.
I said earlier on Warcraft Reloaded, I actually think it's perfect. I think like a lot of people were saying it was post nerf. Like we've already disproven that it's post nerf. It's not. But I think it's a good difficulty for the fact that we're in like the final patch state of class balancing. Like it's kind of like a happy medium. We're actually in the 4.1 state of raids with the 4.3 state of like character balancing or class balancing. And I think that sort of works well enough where it's going to be decently challenging for most people. But at the same time, like, who are you trying to challenge? Like, if you're trying to challenge progress or you're trying to challenge, I don't know, fucking, you know, any top 0.5% guild, then the rest of the guilds are not going to be able to do it full stop. You know what I mean? If it's like we want to make it so they can't clear it, then it's clearly going to be too difficult for the vast majority. So I feel like it's perfect. I think it's going to be challenging for most guilds, and you'll be able to tell us a bit, you know, Crix, in terms of you've been doing it with one of these top guilds. So like, what has that experience been like? Have you gone in and gone, man, this is fucking easy?
I'm not racing tier 11 with them because I just joined them like a couple weeks ago. I'm more for like the rest of the expansion. So I have not been raiding with them, but they've been. I mean, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I know they've been killing it. They've been doing good. They wipe a lot. Wipes are happening everywhere. Like you can turn in a stream of, I don't know if you use the word top guilds and all the people you see, and you see them wiping. That's why when we did that interview and they said something about post nerf, pre nerf, and people in the comments were pissed, saying it was easy. Like, no, you haven't been in there. Then it's easy on normal, but you can go turn on a stream of somebody raid testing and watch them wipe 40 times the magma, trying to figure out the goddamn first phase for some reason, right? Granted, this is before raid guides are out. This is before a lot of people are just trying to figure out. There's people who know what they're doing from weak auras, but even then, like, if you're seeing a fight for the first time and you don't know what blackout is, and this weak aura is saying, yelling blackout at you, you don't know to go stack, you don't know what's happening, right? So I think a lot of the wipes are attributed to people not knowing the fight. So obviously I don't think it's going to be as hard when people know it. And, you know, the Jordy guide, for example, comes out, or I guess he's not doing them. Whoever is doing the raid guides, taking over that throne. Then I think it gets easier, but it is still, I think it's harder than ICC. Outside of heroic glitching, I think heroic glitching is still harder than every boss has here right now. Like when heroic glitching first came out and it was a struggle for everybody. Like that peak first couple weeks of ICC heroic glitching, I think that's harder than what we're doing on the testing. I don't know if you would agree or not. Outside of that, everything in this raid is harder than Magma is harder than everything else in ICC, for example. That's the first boss. Elphys, however you say his name, yeah, that's yeah. People are gonna be chain stuck on that for a minute. They think it's easy. But I've watched people. But at the same time, I've watched people go in there in a 10-man. And they've never seen a fight before, and they bashed their head in there for 2 hours. And I think it was Grayson and Bean, if you guys know who they are, bashed their face in there for 2-3 hours, and they finally killed a boss. So we're not saying it's impossible, but it's definitely harder than what people are blowing up on Blizzard. And I'm not agreeing with Blizzard all the way about everything, but like the raids are kind of difficult right now. And if you've never done it before, you will be face planting the floor quite often and not knowing why.
It's just it's refreshing to hear somebody, that like actually say that, because I agree 100%. We was really deflated, and we're talking like me, Majay, Riggs, Lee, like we're McNulty, like I know this might not mean a lot to the people listening. Hoy, yeah, I'm talking Chebs. Yeah. Like these are people that I've played on private servers with for years, like on Cata private servers as well. And we was like, man, are we shit all of a sudden? Like what's going on? And I wasn't streaming this, by the way. Man. Yeah. So anyone who watched me last night, I think we killed eight bosses on heroic. In one sitting. Like it was a few hours, and we done like 8 heroic, something like that. But the night before, when I wasn't streaming, there was a lot of wipes. There was a lot of wipes last night. Like it's not like we was one-shotting bosses. We one-shot a couple of them. But we're like, if this is post-nerf, what the fuck is going on? Like, how are we struggling with post-nerf that's apparently easy? And then that was where the whole, like, actually, it's not post-nerf. Like, that's bullshit. That's where that came around. Because... yeah, it's unforgiving.
Everybody claimed it because they were like boss percentage or boss health or something like that. And
yeah,
I guess it's post nerf. And then when you messaged me, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was just like they're comparing it to like guilds that killed it in the first like week that it was open, and not accounting for the fact that it got tuned. But yeah, it's not easy. As I say, I think it's a good difficulty both on 10 and 25. 25, I would say, is easier. Like, if you really want to just clear as many bosses as possible, if you can get 25 people together that are competent, 25 heroic, you will have a better time in than 10, because if a couple of people don't understand the mechanics properly and they die, you'll finish the fight with 23 and you'll be fine. Whereas 10 man, one person dies, you're literally on the back foot straight away. It's like,
yeah, I was about to say, if you're doing it, one of those 10 mans is rough because like one, you want your buffs. Like it's not one of those things where you just like, let's bring 4 majors and like you have to pay attention to your buffs. You feel one person dying, one healer, the tank, whatever it is, you feel them dying, bro.
Yeah,
it's crucial.
Exactly.
The mechanics are unforgiving too. They really are. One of those things where you get hit by something like, oh, that actually killed me.
yeah. And you fuck up and everyone sees it. Like every boss has got that mechanic where you can really make yourself look like a twat. You know, like every boss has got that mechanic where you fuck up and everyone sees it. But I like there's still some bosses that are easier than others. Like no doubt.
Yeah.
But
sure.
No, I think it's good. Like I think it's a good difficulty. But like again, I think Subtle earlier on he summed it up really well, where he said, if you done 0% Lich King 25 heroic, so if you're one of those guys that you like, week 2, 1, 2, 3, whatever, then you're gonna be fine. Like full stop. Like you're not gonna find it ridiculously difficult. But like if you're a guild that needed the 30% buff to be able to clear to kill Lich King heroic, yeah, don't expect a full clear heroic week 1. Like it's not gonna happen. Full stop.
I think a lot of people aren't going to full clear it week or like whenever it comes out, the first week it's out.
No, you'll have the top, I don't know, 20, 25 guilds, whatever. Like I think there'll be a decent amount, but yeah, it's going to be the bosses that you're not expecting to struggle. Like you'll walk in Blackwing Descent, like, and you could be a super organized guild, but like you'll pull like Magmor is not like the easiest boss. Omnitron is not. Yeah, you're
like, oh, first boss, this is easy, and then you go into it, you're like, wait a minute. What's crazy to me is how easy normal is. Like,
normal is
so crazy how easy it is. It feels like you're just it's LFR. Like it was shocking. I remember going to like it was like Neff or something like that, and we're just hard wiping on heroic for a while, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, let's just get over with because people have to leave. Let's go to normal, and then you just one shot it. You're like, whoa, this with ease, with relative ease. It was crazy how the gap between how hard some of the stuff was on heroic versus how easy it was on normal. One thing these raids have a lot about I like is a lot of personal what's the word? I don't know, personal like
responsibility.
Yeah, thank you. Personal responsibility. Like a lot.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, you need to understand the mechanics.
You can wipe the raid. Like I guess you're like glitching, obviously you can too, but like you can wipe the raid on most of these fights by you just messing something up. Omnitron and you're just not paying attention to the shield and you read dot or something like that, and then the shield blows up and kills everybody.
We had that last night. We had someone. I won't call him out because he's actually a very good player, but he did fuck up. his fire rally was left on Magmor, and it blew the shield and just fucking killed everyone. But like it takes that one little. Like I'm focusing on something else. I forgot what I was doing on the last one. Because Omnitron's got a lot going on. But
like multi-dotters, anybody who's like looking for that little bit of extra. Ooh, an ad came. I can go put this on it. Yeah, watch out. You can dot before the shield goes up, and your dots won't blow. And they can, like, say the shield goes up in 2 seconds, and I redot it 1 second. That damage after the shield up, it won't affect the shield. But if you redot when it's up, you're screwed.
Yeah,
which is very easy to do because a lot of people, Warlock, Shadow Priest, Boomies, every multi-dot class, they look for that one. Oh man, they look for a long-standing mob they can redot. That's the first thing we do. Oh, I can emulate that, or I can VT that. I can do whatever. So it's one of those fights you just got to be careful. A lot of them are, right?
What's your favorite? Go on, go.
Yeah. So, you said you weren't gonna be in like the race to world first, like in progress,
or tier 11.
like that team, right? So, can you tell us like what their plan is as far as like which raid they're gonna go to first, second, and third? Like, is there an order that they're
I can't say anything. I'm not even sure if I was supposed to say it how they did in the PTR just now.
Ooh, all right. So, well, Scotty, like, do you have like an order that you're planning on going in?
Yeah. I mean, we're not racing. Like, we're a bunch of fucking. We're a dad guild compared to Progress.
If you had to like tell people like a suggestion, like where should you go to?
In terms of Halfus, if you want to just get some loot and then try to not skip as many bosses as possible. Mine would differ a little bit from other people's potentially, because like if you don't mind killing some bosses on normal, I would say Halfus Heroic should just be your first stop.
Where's Halfus Heroic?
Bastion of Twilight.
Okay.
So Halfus Heroic, really first stop, but then I wouldn't go any further in Bastion. I would literally go Heroic. I would go Heroic Halfus and then go Blackwing Descent. The thing is,
you think Halfus is the easiest out of the bunch?
I think Halfus is the easiest. Yeah, you've literally got about 30 to 45 seconds of carnage. That it's one of the only bosses where it gets easier as time goes on. As in it's carnage at the start because you've got so much shit up.
Used to it.
Yeah, and then you're more or less cleaving AoE and everything down, letting your healers burn through their mana, and then it's nice and chill once you're actually just fighting the boss. So I would go Halfus first. Like Magmor and Omnitron, if you was willing to skip one of them, I would personally skip Omnitron and go Magmor Heroic, and then move on to Atramedes and Chimeron and Maloriak. I don't think Maloriak is hard at all. I think Maloriak, you've got two maybe even three different tactics you could do on Maloriak, and if you go the super pussy boy, really super safe tactic where either you're using 3 tanks on 25 man or on 10 man, you're just killing the ads as they spawn and not worrying about the boss. It is probably, I'd actually arguably say, the easiest boss on Heroic, Maloriak. But
what do you think the hardest one is? Neff.
Right. Mechanically, no, I don't think Neff. I think Neff Heroic is actually. I think Neff Heroic would probably be what should be one of the. Cho'Gall Heroic is easy if you know how to cheese mechanics, where you're using an elite shaman or a fire mage and letting them get full corruption and then being good, because now they're just going to absolutely fucking pump everything down. It makes life a lot easier. No, I would say I'd have to say Sinestro, and I don't want to say Sinestro just because it's a heroic only boss, because I don't actually think Sinestro is that difficult, if I'm completely honest with you. Me personally, the only boss that I don't like is Council, Ascendant Council. No, I absolutely fucking detest that fight, but I hate every Council fight. And I just Omnitron feels hectic. Obviously, Ascendant Council is hectic. Even go back to ICC, Blood Council 0% buff feels hectic. It just takes things getting out of control very quickly. But in terms of actual difficulty, I'd still probably have to say Sinestro.
Nice.
Which kind of makes
What
sense.
are you guys looking forward to the most with Cata right now?
Raids.
The most exciting thing that you're looking for? Yeah, same. I was about to say. Go, you too?
I love theory crafting, so this whole like looking at pre-raid bis and stuff like that has got me really hyped. So I'm just curious to see how I'm gonna actually be able to carry out leveling up, getting all my reps done, like that whole first 10 days before leading up into like the first raid. That's my favorite like hype moment of a new release. So for the like Wrath, it was Nax. We knew it was gonna be a face roll, but it was still like awesome to try to get like crafted gear like ready and all that stuff for Nax. So that's what I'm looking forward to, like leveling up to 85, getting reps up, getting as much 359 loot as I can get my greedy little hands on, and then going into raid and trying to smash it.
Hell yeah. I'm still super excited for Firelands, but we can leave that for another day.
Oh yeah, Firelands will be banging. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Firelands. But I still think Tier 11's better than any of them, to be fair. Blackwing Descent,
you like it
specifically. Yeah, I love Blackwing Descent. But I will be rinsing that raid on like 3 to 4 characters like every week.
I was gonna say, characters are you guys going? What are you guys going for alts?
Go's gonna have 4 boomies on.
You know my answer. Yeah, like, well, I'm not gonna have 4.
Are you really going 4 boomies?
I'm gonna play Sod still too, I think. So like as long as Sod phase 4, like level 60 Sod is like pumping and I'm having fun on Sod, I'm gonna try to like balance the two. It hasn't worked for me in the past, but I'm gonna give that another shot. Like Season of Mastery and TBC, I couldn't balance between the two. I had to end up choosing TBC over Season of Mastery. So
good choice.
I might. I'm going to be in that same predicament here.
So it feels very, I use the word casual friendly, but it feels very like, I don't know, it's just raid loggable, you know, log into your raids, log off. Obviously it changes to 60. We got to do whatever to get like ready for raids. But after that, it's kind of like, what are you going to do?
If there's no changes to world buffs and I have to sit there and try to like chrono boon and then like wait an hour, get my next world buff, unboon, like boon that second buff and then like go through all that mess that might put me off of Sod. Like I might try it once or twice, or I could just like go full PvP for Sod. It's like, okay, this is my PvP game, and then I'll PvE focus in Cata or something like that. I don't know.
I don't mind the world buffs with the boon. I just do that. I just go fuck off for an hour and come back.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I'm gonna have Rep Paladin 10 man EU, Fire Mage EU 25 man, Feral Druid, so off tank / feral DPS, NA 10 man, and another Fire Mage for NA 25 man.
Big mage, huh?
And then for GDKPs, what are you going to do for all 4 of those?
No, I'll do 1 GDKP and it'll be Dispriest.
You guys think GDKP is going to be like Giga money?
I'll do one. I'll do one a week just to tide me over. Like that's it. Just one GDKP a week is enough for me. Pays for the account, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do too. You only need one.
Yeah. The price of tokens, like gold wise, hasn't really gone up. It's like kind of like mid right now, I guess. Price wise, it's at nice. Its lowest point, like it was like 4K like per token for NA at least, and then it got up to 11 or 12K, I think, like at its most expensive for like buying it with gold in game, and now it's like 6K, like 7K maybe. So I'm looking at that to see how that's going to change with Cata launching and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the price of that ever.
Yeah, like if you're spending like $20 right now to try to get some gold for your 359 epics, I don't know if you're gonna have to spend a lot of fucking
G2G, baby. What?
Yeah.
Fucking WoW token.
All right, well, Scotty got up, so he can't stop me from sending you off, Crix.
All right, brother.
Thank you for coming in here and talking all Warlock shit. Like, it's good to get a little bit more information for myself and everybody else that tunes into the show every week, like some information for another class. So thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, no worries. A couple of things from chat. Well, someone says BlackRock Cavern's going to be open. Yes, it's open. And people could be asking about what spec to play or what class to play. If you're trying to pump DPS, Unholy DK, Warlock, Mage, Survival Hunter. Honorable mention to Shamans, LE Shamans.
Can I get an honorable mention?
Yeah, to LE Shamans.
Honorable
An
mention?
honorable reroll mention.
Like a say something about Boomkin, man.
Boomkins are great and they have amazing utility. And a B-res. There you go.
Okay.
But ain't that great though? Look at how many classes you just said there. It weren't like, you know, if you go back to TBC days, Warlock Hunter, you know, go back to the start of Wrath, DKs. You know, it's like
you got a lot of and those are just S tier, but even the other classes below that are still great.
yeah, and if they're better than the ones that are at S tier, they're going to do more.
I don't know, avoid's the wrong word because I don't want to piss people off. But if you're looking to the classes that pretty much will never get picked type shit, Fury Warriors, Frost Mages, and that's it. I guess Subrogue's kind of sus for a little while, but other than that, that's free. BM's not that good, but you have two other good specs, and you bring a bunch of buffs as BM, so BM has a very good role in the game. Other than that, pick your class and pump.
And you want a sub rogue for Varalian and Valiona.
I meant to say Arms Warrior and S tier. I'm sorry, they are S tier. I don't know why I didn't say that.
In phase 1,
no,
tier
they still
11?
pump in phase 1, but they're not. They're gonna end up S tier. In tier 1, tier 11 they pump, but tier 12 it's Arms Warrior is one of the best DPS after that. Just like mages, you'll probably go arcane, but fire's pumping right now actually. So I don't know.
I wouldn't go arcane.
Man, who fucking knows?
Yeah, definitely wouldn't.
Yeah, fire's doing great right now. I feel like you would just go fire. Fuck the arcane trade. I'm an arcane mage hater. I like fire mages, but I can't stand arcane mages for some reason.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind arcane.
No reason to hate them at all. I hate them.
It's very dated information that arcane is the first. You know what you do with low levels of crit. Like that. That's a very very old perspective. You know, mages perform
how
very.
Looking right now on ray testing and blue pre-bis gear, they're doing phenomenal. So I can't imagine that you're not going to be fire. I think Fury's ass. Right now on the testing, Fury's cheeks. Arms is all right, but everyone's doing it in blue previous gear. No one's doing it in tier 11 gear, but Arms is all right. Fury is his ass. You know what? Rogues are pumping pretty damn hard on beta testing right now too, by the way.
Assassination are doing a lot, and certain fights, combat is just fucking phenomenal as well. Rogues are going to be a very solid pumper all the way through.
Yep. Rogue surprised me more than every other class did right now in terms of the testing. Fire too, because everyone was like, Fire's not going to do that good in tier 11. But I don't know what you guys mages are doing, but our mages are flapping right now in the beta.
That's weird. It's like with the low amount of crit that they have, that they're still able to pump this early into the expansion.
Yeah, but it's because of how hot streak works. Like hot streak works really well with low amounts of crit or high amounts of crit. There's no middle ground. So the first point in hot streak where you get the chance to get a pyroblast proc from a crit, not from back-to-back crits. Obviously, back-to-back crits is guaranteed, but a single crit, you've got a chance of getting an instant pyro. Actually, as you get more crit, that chance of that first crit to proc it goes down. And I'm pretty sure we've seen that in even in the pre-patch. I've seen a table like a fucking like a chart of it recently. So it's there's nothing wrong with fire with low levels of crit.
Yeah, fire slaps, bro. I'm telling you, Unholy's doing great right now. Frost is doing good. I feel like a lot of these classes, I already named the top 5 in my opinion, but they're all slapping. Ellie's doing great as expected. I haven't seen Enhance too hot, but it might be too early to tell. I don't know.
Jay pumps his enhancement on. Admittedly more so on cleave, but like even his single target's good.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in it. It's just the boomies, man. Just like bench the boomies. Ferals are doing well.
Oh my god.
Restos are really good healer.
Get rid of the boomies.
It's just if you're a boomie, I don't really see the point of playing the game anymore. To be fair, not even in SOD. Probably just quit. Go and play another game. Agron's words. Right. Agron's words, not mine.
Just reroll.
I'm gonna go on my backpacking trip this weekend and just never come back. I'm just gonna stay out in the woods. I'm gonna hike the Appalachian Trail.
You're gonna turn into some sort of Yeti. All right, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
you sound like you want to go, so let's go.
No, I don't want to go. Like, I want us to keep carrying on, Scotty, you and I, for a little bit, if you don't mind. But yeah, we got to let Crix get out of here.
All right.
So,
I don't know what you want to talk to me about, but yeah.
Just to clarify, I'm not saying, I didn't say, Jugs, I'm not saying Arms is bad. Arms is really good. I'm not saying they're bad at all in pre-raid. They're just not doing as much damage as the Warlock or the Unholy DKs. That's the only thing. Arms is S tier for me the entire expansion. That's why I listed it as S tier.
Ooh. But yeah, if you want to find Crix, you can find Crix streaming on Twitch. Are you streaming? Like, I know you sometimes like multi-stream, like YouTube and
just mainly
Kick
Twitch.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Just mainly
Twitch. Yeah, probably go to YouTube
Twitch.
a little bit. It's just Crix vibes everywhere.
And then also you're the writer for Icy Veins for Warlock.
Yes,
so
sir.
shout out Icy Veins.
Gang. We put a lot of effort into these ones too. I'm really excited.
Well, thanks for coming on, Crix. It's always a pleasure, my man.
Great. Stay strong, boys. Warlocks. Whatever class you're gonna play, it's a good expansion. Enjoy it. Have fun with it.
Before you go, who gets the legendary staff prio? Is it Demolock?
I would say go to your fire mages, sadly. Logically speaking, as much as I want it as a warlock, it should go to a mage. You could do a couple fire mages and then maybe your warlock. Or a fire mage and an ally and a warlock.
He did say a couple of fire mages, so what he meant by that is I get it on both my fire mages first.
No, fuck off.
Sucks. It sucks, boys, but it's just so helpful on a mage, man.
Okay, all right. You heard it here first.
They proc the shit out of that. Everybody procs it, but like it's just really good on a mage. Everyone knows. I don't know what the prio is going to be. Maybe Dragon Wrath is bugged and it's not procking whatever on mages, and mages are just ass, and it goes to warlocks. I don't know.
Well, let's hope that's not the case.
All right, catch you guys later.
Take it easy, mate.
Crix.
Peace.
Ciao.
But yeah, there was some other stuff about the raid that I wanted to talk about. I know we had to let Crix go, but if you want to keep talking about the raids a little bit, Scotty, then did you just start streaming on Discord?
Yeah, so it'd sort the cameras out.
Oh, okay.
And then if I
was like, do I want to watch what you're streaming?
No, because then I can just do that, and then that's all right. Then our cameras are sorted, and I ain't got to do anything. I didn't want to talk about anything. I don't know why we're still here. What did you want me for? Did you want me for something?
Yeah, because what was it? The how long will it take normal guilds to clear, like all heroics? Because you've been talking about the difficulty. It's pre-nerf, so like a normal guild, the average guild, is going to take them like 4 weeks to fully clear all the heroic bosses.
So hang on, you want to talk about this rather than me digging? Are you joking?
You've been digging the whole time. What do you mean? Like, you're still going to be digging while you're answering. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Mate, honestly, I don't know. I think normal, when you don't know the mechanics, you know, it's a completely different story, isn't it? You know, and I feel like the mechanics, even on normal in Blackwing Descent and Bastion of Twilight, are like more demanding. I'd say they're more demanding than anything you've done in ICC. Like, if you were to really think about ICC and break it down boss by boss, what your personal responsibilities have been, like, and it don't matter what class you are, like whether you're a healer, you're a ranged DPS, melee DPS. Obviously, tanks are always going to have a little bit more weight on their shoulders, obviously. You ain't really got that much to worry about. It's like, oh, on Marigar, when Bone Storm goes off, I'll try and move away from it. All right, cool. Lady Death Whisper, don't get hit by ghosts. Yeah, every single week, everyone gets hit by ghost anyway. And do you know what I mean? And it's that kind of pointless. You can even get hit by the mechanics, and it's not going to kill you. Whereas in Cata raids, even on normal, you can go to any of the first bosses and you fuck one of the mechanics up, you wipe the raid. Of course, far more punishing on heroic. Like, you can get away with it on normal, I suppose, to a certain extent, but yeah, how long it will take people to clear, I firmly believe there'll be many guilds that clear like everything, including Sinestra, Alakir, like everything night one. The best way I can word it is if you done Lich King 25 heroic 0% buff, you'll probably clear BWD and Bastion of Twilight week 1, maybe week 2, if for some reason you ran out of time. Like, that's it. If you've done it with a 5%, maybe you'll have some problems with some bosses. But you're not going to have problems with the bosses as in they're like overtuned, they got too much health or they're doing too much damage. You'll just be fucking the mechanics up. Like that, you know, it's as simple as that. I said to Subtle earlier that the good thing that I've seen so far is none of them are real gear checks. You know what I mean? It's not like you get to one and it's like, we just need more gear to be able to do this. Like, no, every single boss is just a mechanic check. Yeah, and obviously we've had gear checks, well, forever, where you just know, like, you need to hit a certain amount of damage to be able to physically do these things. But none of the enraged timers are so tight that you can't do it week 1. Like, you absolutely can. You just need to execute.
As far as gear checks, I do have a follow-up question on that topic. But before I do, the homie Drogba asked a question earlier, and it's gone through the social stream thing, but I found it on YouTube. Drogba asked, off topic, I'm sorry, who is your Premier League player of the off season? Saliba? He asked. And I normally wouldn't call somebody out like that for like a question, but I mean it's Drogba. Come on.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, like, that's your homie. That's your friend. I don't watch Premier League.
No, nor do I. What do you think I am?
I don't know. He asked it.
Are you just, mate? I sit and play WoW and watch thousands of TV series. Do you think I've got time to watch football as well?
Well, Drogba, there's your answer.
Sorry to disappoint.
But like I was seeing healers run out of mana on your guys' beta attempts. So to me, that's kind of like a gear check. Maybe that's more of a cooldown check of like everybody using their mana returns.
Cooldown usage was dog shit. That's literally something that I've already raised. So
like mana tied totems, like in the priest hymns and stuff like that. Is that what that was? Like they just weren't being used enough?
No, as in raid cooldowns. And like
those are raid cooldowns.
Yeah, no, sorry, I mean more like raid like defensive cooldowns, like AM in a good times, and yeah, like our general cooldown management was not where it should be, and that's something that I raised literally after last night's raid. It's like we can't just be using cooldowns whenever we feel like it. Yeah, one person's starting to looks like they're going to die. Quick spirit link. It's like, well, no, like that will help the healers. Scott, can you check your DMs real quick? I don't really know where my DMs are, and I don't also understand why I'm being held hostage. I got no DMs.
We can go if you want to. I thought there was some more interesting stuff people might want to hear your opinion on. Like which bosses to go to for heroic gear, the first lockout. I put that in our thing, and you kind of addressed that on a different podcast earlier on today. So I guess we can just direct them over there if you want to.
You can do that. Yeah, Stark. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, do it. Well, I wasn't even listening to you. I was reading Stark's message. What were you saying?
No, like in ICC and even in Old War, there were some suggestions from a lot of people of like which bosses should you focus your attention on for heroic progress first, because there's like specific upgrades from trinkets sometimes and like tier pieces where it's like, oh yeah, well this boss drops the tier helm, this boss drops the tier shoulders. You can't buy that from Valor, so you want to make sure that you get these bosses down ASAP. So are there any bosses that you would personally go to first.
I mean, Atramid is 100%. Atramid is 100% purely because it's not actually like Atramides heroic is not hard. It's like probably one of the easier heroic bosses and drops Bell, which is literally like, you know, a Abyss fucking caster trinket for multiple casters. Like everyone's gonna want Bell. Well, not everyone's gonna want Bell. Some want Feralian's Mirror, but like most want Bell. And it's not a difficult one, so you definitely want to be getting that down.
Even like so, Sinestra drops like the highest eye level that we can get in tier 11. So is Sinestra a boss that
no, but you need to
for most people? Or?
No, because you need to clear Bastion on heroic, and like Ascendant Council is going to cause people problems. Like Cho'Gall heroic, it is. I personally don't think Cho'Gall heroic is that hard. It probably is when you start thinking about the amount of mechanics it's got, but like there's some cock blocks there. Like, yeah, you're not aiming, like, you shouldn't be aiming for Sinestra week 1. Like, unless you're a top guild. You know, like, then, alright, cool. You should really be looking at things like Maloriak, Atramides, Chimeron. It's weird when I'm telling you to, like skip Magmor and Omnitron, because, like, you'll probably be alright with Magmor. Omnitron is one of those where it just takes time for everyone to understand exactly what each boss does mechanic-wise. And because you don't know ahead of time what you're getting first and possibly what's coming out next, like the combination of mechanics can fuck you over because you're like, well, didn't realize we was going to get sucked into the poison while we got ads up and someone's being targeted by the beam. And you know, I mean, like, a lot of mechanics can get on top of you. You need to know how to counter each combo. Omnitron, I just don't like council fights. I've said that already tonight. You know, like Omnitron, fucking Ascendant Council, even Blood Council, ICC. I just never like council fights. But I feel like Omnitron is one of the more difficult fights in Blackwing Descent. I would actually say the only thing harder than Omnitron is Nefarian. Like, if I had to rank them, I would say the hardest is Nefarian. I'd say Omnitron second. Nefarian, Omnitron. Then probably... then probably Magmor. Then we're going in difficulty. Then probably Maloriak, Chimeron, Atramides. I would say that in difficult for me personally. I would say Nefarian is the hardest, then Omnitron, then Magmor, then Chimeron, Maloriak, Atramides. So start from the bottom and go up and do it in that order, but you can't, unfortunately.
All right. Well, the last thing that I would ask, because I know you're just itching to get out of here.
I'm just so, mate, I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm fucking so tired. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, it is like 3:30 over there. Yeah.
Well, it's 3:30, and this is my second podcast of the evening. And it's been it's my daughter's birthday today, so I've been doing like kids stuff all day.
We didn't really have that many podcast questions on your Discord for this show, but we are having our next show is on Monday. So if you have a question that you would like to get answered before launch, because we're having like a pre-launch podcast party Monday, a couple hours before launch. There's that channel in the social media and stream section on Scotty's Discord. You can post your question there. We'll address it. We're not addressing it right now, but we can get to it then. There was one thing from Jugs, and they posted a lot of like feedbacks.
Big Jugs?
Of Big Jugs. Shout out Big Jugs.
Love Big Jugs.
And I don't want to go through each post because we're it's pretty late at night now, but one thing that they were mentioning was some bugs. So are there any important bugs that you would want to make sure got fixed before the launch of the raids? Is there like, yo, this was kind of game breaking, it fucking sucked that this bug was in there during testing, this most recent testing, that it absolutely needs to get fixed before launch? And if it doesn't, then it's going to suck. It's going to hold guilds back.
Yeah. I mean, the annoying thing is, I mentioned this earlier on when I was talking to Subtle on Warcraft Reloaded, and he never saw it. But Magmore would occasionally fall backwards instead of going forwards.
10,
yeah. I mean, we was doing 10 heroic and Subtle was doing 25 heroic. But he never saw it on 25 heroic, but we saw it regularly on 10 heroic. So on Magmore, for anyone who don't know, I'll teach you how to suck eggs for a minute. Like, you have to jump on top of Magmore, like 2 people on 10, jump up on Magmore, you chain a spike and pull him down. So he gets impaled on the spike, and then obviously takes a shitload of damage. It's like his vulnerability phase. But you would spike him, and he'd fall backwards instead of forwards. So you've just lost your whole burst window, your entire vulnerability phase. Like that was a pretty big bug. Yeah, angry seagull Magmore. Yeah, the seagull meme kicked off in our beta raids every time that happened. Like, I gotta be honest with you, that was the most irritating one.
I mean,
Alakir was bugged to shit, so we never even went to Alakir. Thanks, Ashley. Thank you. I'll drink to that. We never even went to Alakir because we knew from other people that Alakir was bugged, and it was like you could spend some time there and kill it, but you're ultimately going to be killing something that's not working properly, so why even put the effort in? Do you know what I mean? It's like, why go and try and devise new tactics to kill a bugged boss on the beta when it's not working? So we didn't even waste time going there. But I feel like and Lee in chat, obviously Lee's in chat. He was in the raids. I don't remember anything else being too bad.
I don't think yeah, Jugs didn't say whether it was 10 or 25, but there was something that looked like for every single boss, like Magmal, there's some notes, Omnitron, Chimeron, Nefarian, Trash, Halphus, Twins, Council, Cho'Gall.
Hang on.
Sinestra.
Where am I looking? In
the
podcast
question. And I also linked it in the YouTube stream and the Kick stream as well, if people wanted to check those out.
Oh, I've seen the post. All right, let me have a look. Feedback on raid.
I mean, it's a big post, so I mean, if you want to take the time to go through it all, I'm happy to do so. But
Magmore, there seems to be inconsistent delays when 2 people hop on the boss and throw the chain. Sometimes you'd hop off pretty quick. Other times it'd be a sizable delay. Didn't see that personally, and I was jumping up every time.
Like, Jugs did say this is all 25 heroic.
Okay, sometimes when bringing the head down, the boss would flip backwards. That's exactly what I was talking about, which was fucking irritating. Omnitron seemed fine. I guess the only question would be how the poison debuff from attacking Toxicron Shield is supposed to interact. Some other servers of the debuff remain until it falls off after a long duration. I don't know. I'd always switch before the shield went up because I'm not bad. Fucking calls you out, Jugs.
Damn.
These seem largely functional. Maloriat last phase, absolute zero mechanic, and others are killing pets. Again, wouldn't really notice.
Oh yeah, rats don't really have pets.
Fireball barrage. Are they? You're looking at this is old. Hang on, no, we only put it on 1 day ago. Fireball barrage from the Protodrake does show the ground effect. I feel like the first time we was testing it, we was just randomly moving. But I feel like when we tested it, Lee, confirm. Lee, are you still in chat?
Oh, Lee's there.
I'm sure we could see it, couldn't we? The fireball effect, or could we still not see it? Oh, well, anyone who was beta testing with me last night, McNulty, Chunk, anyone who's around. Actually, Chunk, you weren't. Maybe you was there for Halford. Stark. Yeah, we did it last night, but for some reason I thought that was something that was fixed, but I might be wrong. It had an effect. So Stark's saying it did have an effect.
So maybe there's some weird thing between 10 and 25 or something.
There's no ground effect.
There is no ground. Shit.
There either is, Jugs. There either is or there isn't. Yeah, so it's one way or the other. Flo just called it come in and we moved. All right, so we'll say there's not. I know at least one of the raids I've done in the last few days that it wasn't there. Instead, I'd more or less be counting to 3 in my head. I'd be going 1, 2, 3, move. It was like I was dancing. As melee, I'd be stood in one place, nuking the boss, and I'd go like 1, 2, 3, and then I'd just move. And then I'd wait 1, 2, 3, and then I'd move back to where I was. And as long as no one was where I was, I just kept moving backwards and forwards, knowing, well, odds are I'm not going to get hit. Not an exact science, all right, but
Nefarian, this is one that pisses me off, like when there's disconnect issues because of the game, like constant disconnects for players trying to get on the pillars at the start of phase 2.
I literally haven't done Nefarian on the beta.
Yeah, like if there's DC
I've cleared up to Nefarian, and the other guys in the group killed Nefarian on normal when I weren't there. But I've not even done Nefarian on the beta, so I can't comment on any of that. Valiona and Valiona, no glaring issues.
I mean, Halphus Fireball Barrage from the Proto Drake still doesn't have a ground effect on where it's going to land.
That's literally what we just spoke about for 10 minutes ago.
Was it? I thought it was up in the other Blackwing Descent. I thought it was a boss from there. My bad.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not like they need any of this fixed by Monday. You know, as long as
2 weeks.
Exactly. As long as people who have been reporting it, as long as people who have been testing it have actually reported it, then there's nothing to worry about, really. You would hope, even if it's not fixed on launch night, all of these bosses have been killed on the beta. So it's like, yes, okay, there might be some bugs, but they're still killable. It's not like they're bugs to the point where they're unkillable. Other than, like I know Alakir is an absolute fucking shit show, but...
And Alakir dropped some good tier. So I would want to get Alakir down week 1 because it drops held and shoulders, I think.
Neph Heroic hasn't. Well, apparently, Stark, there's no public logs for Neph Heroic being killed, but I've had people tell me they've killed Neph Heroic. Well, I tell you, Subtle told me tonight on Warcraft Reloaded that they've killed Neph Heroic. So there might not be public logs, but he's got no reason to lie. He said the only boss that their guild didn't kill on the beta was Alakir. They've killed everything else on Heroic, so... and he's not the only one. I've had multiple people tell me that they've cleared everything on Heroic. But the people who say they've cleared everything on Heroic, I do question, because, I mean, Alakir is bugged to an extent that your raid DPS has got to be something else to really be able to do that, because... Or you're doing it in a way that, you've literally devised a new tactic specifically for the beta to be able to kill it. Was Alakir fixed? When was Alakir fixed?
Yeah, because the beta, like the testing's already down, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean
it was over like yesterday.
Yeah, I'm talking about from yesterday. So are the raids still open? If they are, why have I done a podcast tonight? I could have been raiding.
Yeah. Let's get on the beta right now.
Yeah, I was under the understanding that the raids closed last night. Alakir was fixed on second round of PTR. We killed it instantly. Oh, okay. Oh, was it first? Was it the first? They fixed the phase 3 lightning. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Nice.
As I say, I didn't even go to Alakir at all during the beta. But again, like, I don't really stress over the beta stuff because killed it with dampening, you know, like, where it's actually difficult. So I don't think I'm going to struggle on live. It's him that's going to struggle because he won't even use ABM.
I'm going to struggle typing curse.forge.gg, whatever the fuck the website is, to download the add-on, and I'm going to put it in the wrong folder. I'm not, and I'm gonna be like, well, shit, it's not working for me. And they're like, oh, did you get the right version? Yeah, it said Cata, it said 4.3. Like,
I'll just send you some weak auras for it all. But I'll include a weak aura in it that shows you how to play your class and stuff as well. You know,
and a weak aura on how to install weak auras. That'd be fucking perfect.
And a weak aura that says dig every time I say dig. We'll get that thrown in there as well.
Speaking of digging, let's get back to our digging, dude. It's
okay.
Late at night. It's time to dig.
Let's do it. Let's get back to digging. So I'll let you see everyone out. Thank them for the super chats and stuff. I'm gonna sit here and finish my gin.
Yeah. Well, while Scotty's finishing his gin, if you want to see Scotty drink a double shot of gin straight out of a shot glass, now's the time to super chat anything. It doesn't matter if it's $1, €1, £1. Scotty's gonna fill up a shot glass, double shot it.
No. I'm not drinking for fun. I'm drinking for leisure tonight. What are you talking about?
And no, but thanks everybody for the super chats throughout the show. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We're gonna be back Monday, right before launch, a couple hours before launch, hanging out with at least Table Slam. Maybe we get another guest on there.
Yeah, Jay. Well, Jay will be there because me and Jay, obviously, we're gaming together.
Jay's going to be there, so we're going to have a little party before launch. I'm off work, so I'm going to be there having a couple drinks, chilling, hanging out with the boys when usually I'm going to be at work. But I took off for this launch of Cata because I'm so invested in it. I just want to be there and no life the first couple days. Leveled my tunes up to 85, get all that pre-raid gear, get all the reps completed ASAP. So thanks for chilling with us tonight with Crix. Crix is already gone, but check out Crix for all your Warlock information on YouTube. Check him out on Icy Veins. He's the Warlock writer guide for Icy Veins. And he streams on Twitch as well. I think his links should be in the description. If Scotty did his part.
YouTube, he's YouTubers. I'll put his Twitch in tomorrow.
Okay.
You can jump in as well, Zach. But yeah, make it perfectly clear that the launch sort of podcast on Monday is like there's going to be no information. You know, if you join the podcast, if you join the podcast for information and news updates and stuff like that, there'll be none of that. We're just putting the podcast on, and we're just going to talk some shit for a couple of hours while we all get like very excited for launch. It'll be a very, very chill, just chatting. So,
all right, yeah, Scotty, I'll see you there, and everybody else, Lee, I'll see you. Jugs, thanks for the question in the Discord about the show. Any questions between now and Monday? We'll address those during the pre-party. And yeah. Get back to digging, dude.
Well, thanks for having me, Go. And everybody in chat, I'll see you on the next one. I need to stop doing the salute because Hoyt didn't like it. When we met up on Saturday and went and got hammered, he was like, wait, when did you start saluting people? Oh, no, not to him, but while we were streaming and people was donating, and I was like, cheers, cheers, mate. No, I was like, cheers for the sub. He was like, "Why are you saluting him? You don't ever do that." And I'm like, "I always do that. Literally, I've never not done that." But anyway, yeah, we're off. See ya. Ending screen, probably.
I was gonna say, is this the awkward? We're in an ending stream, but they can still hear us talking shit about them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think chat were really bad tonight. Like, just the general messages they were putting in and stuff. All
somebody had to do was like super chat $1, and it was a double shot for you. And I was like, oh, this is gonna happen for sure. Nobody did it. $1.
Yeah, but recession and all that. Oh, then again, that
true. Inflation.
That finished quite a while ago.
Maybe both of them. Yeah, but inflation, dude. Have you gone to McDonald's recently? Have you gotten a combo meal?
Have you seen the size of me? Of course, I've been to McDonald's recently.
Yeah, dude. It's more than like going to Chili's or Applebee's or anything like that.
I don't know what Applebee's is.
What's the name of like the sit down family restaurants in EU?
The pub.
Is it called like the pub?
What are you talking about? Sit down restaurants. I mean, they're all named different.
Who goes out now?
No, but they're all got different names. It's not just one.
What? That's what I was asking. Like, what are the names of those places?
Whoa, there's thousands of them. How am I meant to know what every one of them's called?
I mean, there's like IHOP, there's Denny's. Like what?
Sit down restaurant. I mean, restaurant. Beef eater,
Olive Garden, beef eater. Barely know
her. Other sit down, yeah, but there's no real big sit down restaurant chains. You know, it's like, yeah, you could say beef eater time. Outback. Outback
Steakhouse, yeah.
The
Australian place.
Mr. Raj's Indian eating restaurant.
Yeah, Roger. That makes me think of
Indian food. Nando's is a good one. Yeah, Nando's. Okay, Nando's. We can go with Nando's.
Can you get beans on toast as an appetizer at Rogers?
Yeah, probably.